Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Man, Mo, Larry, and Curly.
Here we go, baby. Yes, welcome in, everybody. The launch, the debut of Sports Take. I am Rob Ellis with my friends Derek Gunn and Barrett Brooks. Derek drinking out of a Jurassic Park cup because he is that old. Yes, friends, he was around for that.
Really?
Time.
Really?
Yes.
You want to go there?
I didn't even know you were going to pull that mug out, man, but you gave me too much material right there. But yes, by the way, I did our little groove there.
I wasn't supposed to.
No, you can't do. Oh, look at you showing off the bling.
Come on, man.
He totally did that.
Oh, did I do that? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute, man. I saw that ring. I saw that ring at Kmart.
Yeah, that's right. I saw the guy down the street trying to sell it to me. For $10.
I got out the biggest Cracker Jack box they make. That's the best prize you can get, man. I found it. I found the golden ticket.
All right, so listen, this is it, man. And by the way, I love our graphics too. We got some strong graphics for the show here. Yeah,
Xander Krause, baby.
Yeah, our producer Xander showed us this, last week, a couple weeks ago. Man, we're coming out of the box strong. But yeah, if you're like us, you've been excited for something new, for something different. And that's what we're here for, man. That's what we're here to bring to the table. And we've been trying to get the word out to as many people as possible for our launch here at 12 o'clock. And we'll be every day, Monday through Friday, 12 to 3. And we're already getting a ton of reaction from our friends out there who are checking out the show. And let me be the first to say, welcome and thank you for hanging with us. And we will make it worth your while. We promise that. And I'm thrilled. Look, I got to tell you, man, I'm thrilled to be with you guys. Two guys who I absolutely love, and we are going to have some fun, man. Derek, Barrett, can't wait.
All I'm gonna say is this: I woke up and prayed this morning. Why me, Lord?
You prayed?
Yeah, man, I pray, man.
Who did you pray to? I ain't never seen you pray, man.
I'm not a heathen. That's what I'm talking about right there. He thinks, Rob, see what I got to deal with, man.
Man, your skin burned for telling that lie.
Rob was so good to work with when I was working with Rob, and then they sent me to the Wolves, and I worked with you.
That's a good
know
point.
what I'm saying? I mean, I was good. I mean, I had breakfast on Broad. I mean, everything was great. Me, Jillian, Millie, Rob. I mean, we had a great show, and then they sent me to you, Quick Slants.
Really?
And that's like the anti-show of all shows.
Really?
So I've been trying to take my, just unwire myself from that show ever since then.
It's not easy.
And who helped you? Who helped you become even better than you are today? Who helped you? Tell everybody who helped you.
You threatened me. You did everything, man.
That's right.
You locked me in a closet, man. Come on, man.
Yeah, Derek, that was a little rough. That was a little bit much, man. Put him in a closet. You know what I mean?
You know what people don't know is we've been talking about. First of all, kudos to Joe Krause, who's the CEO of the JAKIB Media YouTube Network, and he came to me with this idea before Christmas. And I said, man, wow, to work with two guys that I've known for years, I have the utmost respect for. But then the other side of me took over, and I said to myself, D Gun, because, when I talk to myself, that's how I refer to myself as D Gun. So I said to myself, D Gun.
Third person? That's like the fifth person you talking to.
I said, D Gun, could you really stomach working with Barrett 3 hours a day, 5 days a week? Rob's kind of like Switzerland. He's always that neutral guy, right?
Yeah.
But Barrett is a family antagonist to me, man.
I hear you.
And so it was a struggle, man. It was the good angel and the bad angel. It was a fight, man. And we started November, December, and by March I'm thinking this show's not gonna happen, And lo and behold, we pulled it together, and I said to myself, you know what? I'm gonna be the bigger man. I'm gonna put aside my personal differences with Barrett, and I'll make this work.
Wow.
All I want to do is talk sports. That's all I want to do is talk sports. And you. I mean, the gauntlet's already thrown down. See what
Yeah.
I got to deal with?
Well, look,
I got to deal with.
here's the beauty, right? So we and first of all, we're already getting like unbelievable reactions from the comments, and we'll read the best ones, and we appreciate it. Adam's checking in, everybody's excited, man, and we're all excited too, and we appreciate everybody for being involved. CFB promotional products, everybody's jumping in there. Chalk It Up Sports, everybody's excited.
Yeah,
Joey
man.
B, we said Joey B wants Gunner barbecue tips. Okay, so. We'll see what we can do.
Stay tuned, Joey. Stay tuned, Joey. I got you.
You're going to get that because we're going to go out of the box. We're going to be doing a lot of sports, obviously, and we're stepping in at a really good time, but we're going to be doing everything. You name it. We're going to be doing and by the way, like I got to bring this up already. So I want to show you guys this. All right. Let me get this in frame.
What the heck is that?
That's the nail, okay, that I had stuck in my wall to hang up one of my pictures. This is how bad I am.
What?
This looks like something like Barrett. What would you use this size nail for? It's at
kill
least
zombies, man. That's a zombie killing nail, man.
Okay, I had that in the wall behind me just to hang up one of my pictures. And as I'm pulling it out, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking sticking this into my wall, man?
Bro, that's like a prop. That's a prop from Easter, man. You know what
that's
I'm
a blow dart, man.
Yeah, right.
That's a blow dart.
That's used for crosses.
That's for that's exact Easter, man. He is risen, and that nail was that was probably the nail, man. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's no need for that, man. There's nothing in your house big enough for that to be in, bro.
Yeah, I don't even know what I was thinking, but anyway, so we got all kinds of stuff to cover. I got to show you my shirt too. This is in honor of the Sixers, taking on the Raptors game too. That's Doc dunking over Larry Bird right there from my guys.
That's amazing. At
JAKIB Sports, yeah.
And then you got it behind your shoulder.
Yeah, you see Doc and Larry Bird getting acquainted behind my stuff, and Chuck Bednarik doing his thing. I had to work some of that stuff in there. So, and I like
that's pretty cool, man.
I like Gunner's backdrop too. He's got his fish up there. We need again a lot of barbecue tips that we need, man.
Hey man, let me just stop. Let me stop the press for a moment. All you people out there for the barbecue, and you want some dude just say, "I want barbecue order." Hey man, you understand the cost of meat right now, bro?
Right.
Now, here's what I tell you: if you ship me the meat, I'll grill it and ship it back to you. You might get it a day later. Now there might be a bite or two out of one ribs because I got to sample it before I send it.
How much for one rib?
I'm just saying, man. People want all these barbecue orders and stuff. Y'all got to provide the meat, man. I got mouths to feed over here.
Bro,
I can't be just giving out free meat.
That's
true. See, there it is right there, man. You get it all, man. And all those fish right there, he got them out of the. He went by one of those. What is it? Those buy it now, take later. Buy one, get two free. Buy one, take two free. You got it from a swap meet. That's where you got those fish from, bro.
Let me tell you something. One I caught. Let me tell you the bass over here, 9-pound bass. I caught in Lake Moreno, Southern California. The one above it, 2.5-pound crappie, Barrett, as you know, which is a big for a crappie. Yeah. We caught like 30 of those out of Lake Arthur, which is 30 minutes north of Pittsburgh. Then on the other side here, that one at the top is a 11-pound steelhead trout caught out of, that's small for a steelhead, but that's the biggest one I caught. Caught it out of Crooked Creek off of Lake Erie. And then I got 11-pound walleye caught out of Lake Erie in Ohio. So
how big is that walleye?
11-pound walleye.
Bro, I bet it was good too, man.
It was so good. One of the best
freshwater lobster. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the best. Let me tell you something, Barry. You know me. I got 17 rods and reels in my garage. I got over 160 something lures, 2 tackle boxes. I put in my time, bro. I don't buy nothing.
Right.
I put in my time. Hey, my dudes.
We're going to cover more fish talk later, man. We are going to get into that. But think about what we have today, guys. So we got Brian Baldinger at 1:00 to nobody breaks the film down more than Baldy. Baldy, he's like a scientist, man. He's got the finger. We're gonna actually bring the finger out at one point. We'll see what's going on there. But he's gonna join us at 1.
He got my start in media, man. He got my start in NFL films, man.
It's his fault. It's his fault.
It's all his fault. Yeah.
So, Baldy's gonna join us at 1. At 12:30, Tom McCarthy's gonna join us. Phillies will get into it. They're in Colorado. You got Aaron Nola on the mound tonight. It was not pretty. Their house of horrors in Miami continues, and it was ugly with the ace on the mound yesterday. So we'll talk to T-Mac.
Yeah,
but man, not only that, we got a playoff game tonight, game 2, Sixers Raptors. And I got to tell you guys, I don't know if the Sixers can play a better game than they played in game 1. That was an absolute thing of beauty.
I mean, everything felt right in that game. I started thinking, wow, do we have a big 4? Then I had to bring myself back. I had to bring myself. We're supposed to have a big 2. We have big 1 3/4.
Yeah.
Once we get a little bit more out of Harden.
Yeah.
But then when I see a game like that, when you got Maxey playing the way he played and Harris playing the way he played, we could almost have a big 4. But then I came back to reality. I had to come back to reality. I was like, yeah, I got to get up in the morning. I got to work with D-Gun tomorrow. I got to help myself, man.
That is reality.
What? What?
Yeah.
Look, here's the way I see it. When you look at the better teams out there, you look at. I'm going to start with the West. Look at Golden State and Phoenix come to mind. They have Steph Curry, and Phoenix has their stars, but they have a great supporting cast. You can't just hone in on one guy because they kill you in so many different ways. Come back to the East. Boston has Jason Tatum, but he has such a great cast, man. And you look at the 76ers, the way they played that first game against Toronto, a team, by the way, they lost to 3 out of 4 in the regular season. And you talk about close. Every one of those games were decided by 5, 5, 5, and 6 points. Okay, so they're games that could go either way. Now, for the Sixers to come out and do what they did, you're not going to get Tyrese Maxey scoring 38 points every night. Right. But you got Tobias Harris stepping up, and I know a lot of people have been down on Tobias Harris. Okay, you got James Harden. They stepped up. They're going to have to do that every night because, to me, Toronto is one of the best adjustment on the fly teams in the NBA. They're great at making adjustments, man. And they're smaller than the 76ers, but they're athletic. And Siakam, you know what? He gives people nightmares. Him and Van Fleet give people nightmares. Now, I can't wait to see how Toronto counters in game 2 tonight. But the Sixers have to – anytime Joel Embiid can only score 19 points and you still win that game by what, 19? What was it, 130 to 111?
131, 111. Yeah.
111. You've done your job. They have to spread the wealth. You cannot just rely on Joel to pump into 30, 35 points a game. You've got to spread the wealth. Everybody's got to come in raining threes tonight because I don't feel comfortable with this team going back to Toronto if that series is 1-1.
No, you got
to.
You're right on. You can't fall into this false sense that you're of security because you smoked them in game 1 and they might be without 3 key players tonight.
Yeah, and that's the problem right there.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
So Barrett, you could speak to this as a professional athlete. Sometimes you let down if you know the other team's missing key pieces. Yes. And that's a danger zone. That's a trap they could be stepping into tonight.
Exactly. And you look at that Toronto team, man, their tallest player is what, 6'9"?
Yeah.
So they got a smaller team. You got to take advantage of the size that you have. You got to take advantage of if they don't have 3 players, you got to take advantage of it. You got to step on the head of the snake, man. You can't allow them to come back and think that they have a shot. Because when you try to think they're lulled to sleep, they'll lull you to sleep, and then they'll come back. I've been in situations where we didn't have, two of our stars went out there and played, and the team. I'll give you a perfect example. NFC Championship game, the year the Eagles went to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. We were supposed to be in that Super Bowl. It was supposed to be an all Pennsylvania Super Bowl. I was with the Steelers. I thought I was going to be. In fact, I thought I was ready to go out there. I went out and bought new clothes so I can go down to Jacksonville and everything, bro. Man, we got into that game and we heard the night before that like 12 or 15 of their players had the flu. Flu. They were all sick. So we think, oh, we got this, man. I went out, bought new clothes and everything. Man, they spanked us. Yeah. Even with those sick players, spanked us. So you can't get lulled to sleep. You got to come with your A game all the time. And that's a perfect example of how the top tier teams do. They don't care who they're playing against. They can be playing against Little Sisters of the Poor. They still gonna go out there and play hard against them also.
Well, I'll tell you what's fascinating. Nick Nurse is already trying to plant the seed. So as soon as that game ended on Saturday night, and he did it again yesterday, he's publicly talking about the foul situation, how his guys had position, how it should have been an offensive foul on Embiid, how he threw 3 elbows, only got called for 1. He's planting the seed. He's a good coach. He's a crybaby, but he's a good coach who will make adjustments. So that part to me is going to be fascinating. How is this game officiated? They had Van Vliet in foul trouble in 2 seconds on Saturday. He ends up fouling out. Boucher, total non-factor. He fouls out. How's it going to look tonight? Are the calls going to go the other way because he moaned so much?
Well, that's the big problem.
That worries me because when coaches start crying like that, referees start looking for that stuff a little bit more. And then all of a sudden they start calling ticky-tack fouls the other way for the wrong reason. See, to try to balance it out a little bit more. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, if Embiid's in foul trouble in the third quarter, That's not well. That's not good for the Sixers, especially if it's a close game.
Yep.
See, I hate when coaches and players start, especially prominent players, because we see it happen in sports all the time. All of a sudden, the next game, you start seeing the little things that they were getting away with before being called on them now.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that just goes to show that, all right, Doc, you got a coach now. Doc Rivers has a coach. He has to go out there and really, show that he knows what's going on, man. Because, I mean, DeAndre Jordan, he has become a factor now. Because if they do start calling ticky-tack calls, him, George Niang, those guys have to step up. They're going to have to play quality minutes for, Embiid if this happens.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, this just comes to, all right, Doc, are you this guy? I mean, are you the guy that put this team together that you can have win? I mean, I think he's on the hot seat. Like it or not, I think he's on the hot seat, man. And all these rumors about him going to L.A. Finish your job here first. Finish here.
Right,
Make this happen here. You can be here for a long time with a good team. This is a good team, man. Yeah, this is a really good team.
I think, here's the thing. You try and look at game one, and what are your takeaways? Look, Maxey was just unreal. We'll get into him in a second. But can you expect 38 again? Probably not. But I think Embiid will shoot it better. I think as much as Harden didn't necessarily shoot it well from two, I saw more of a burst. A couple times in transition, he looked better. He looked well rested, that kind of thing. I think you're gonna get more out of him. Look, Danny Green was terrible in that game. Yeah. You're gonna get more out of him. So I think the Sixers are in good shape. I don't think this is going to be easy. I think it's going to get real tough when they get back to Toronto. And I think tonight's going to be close, despite the fact that they may not have everybody there. But I took a lot of positives away from that game one. Gunnar, how about you?
No, I couldn't agree with you more. And the 76ers had to come out of the gate and assert themselves and just send a message that, hey, this ain't the regular season. It's over. When you talk about James Harden, I do believe that hamstring is still an issue with him, because we haven't seen him with that burst that he had in Houston. We saw it sporadically, like you said, in game one against Toronto. But I still think that he's favoring that hamstring. You know what? It may even be subconscious. It may even be good. But, he's probably protecting it so that he doesn't lose any significant time in this particular series. There's a lot of pressure on the 76ers. A lot of people have big expectations of this team. Can you imagine the monsoon of criticism if Doc Rivers and the 76ers were to bow out in the first round? Yeah. I mean, you guys know this market as well as I do, Rob, even better because you're from here. Can you imagine what this organization would take in terms of negative connotations if they bow out? And I think that when James practices, he's practicing to play the game a certain way so that he doesn't aggravate that hamstring any longer. Because as you guys know, whether it's a hamstring or sprained ankle, Barrett, you played, at the highest level possible in the NFL for 12 years. Those are the type of injuries, they feel good one day. All of a sudden, you step the wrong way the next day, whether it's in practice or a game, and you're sitting out 2 to 3 weeks. And that could be costly,
Yeah, no, listen, no doubt. And here's the thing, Gunnar, to your point. When you go through the process, when you go through those years of losing to build to this point where you're ready to win a title, if this thing doesn't get beyond a first or second round, and they haven't gotten beyond the second round, really in Embiid's time,
right?
You're going to look back as a fan and say, I went through all of that losing for this?
Yep.
For what? That's the way. And you make a trade for Harden, you make a blockbuster trade like that.
Absolutely.
This team has a lot of pressure on it to go real deep. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but this isn't about Toronto, man. This is about getting to an NBA final, at least advancing this thing to where it was. And especially think about the way last year ended. You lose to a Hawks team that really wasn't special, that you were up 26, that you fell apart in certain games. There's a lot riding on this, man.
Exactly.
A lot.
Last year was the year. Last year they had, they should have made it past them. There's no way that Hawks team should have won, and like it or not, I think Denny Green, if he was playing during that time, defense would have been a little better. But you had the perfect scenario with a team that just got hot at the end of the year. The Hawks got hot at the end of the year.
Right.
They even, they even took it to the Nets. You know what I'm saying? They should have beat the Nets. But you got to take advantage of all those situations, And at this point, this 76ers team is a lot better than they played the last 2 weeks of this season.
Yep.
They were way better than what they played. And looking at it, I need Harden, if anything, I need Harden to put him at the 2 instead of the 1. Yeah. And then put Maxey at the 1. He can keep the pace of the game going faster. And then Harden just shoot, man. I don't need 12 assists. Give me 30. I'll take 30 instead of 12 assists, man.
Yeah,
here's one thing we have to keep in mind, fellas, is that 76ers are one of the worst teams in the league in terms of holding double-digit leads in the second half. You know, and you got to keep that in mind, because when Toronto closed the gap in game one, I'm thinking, here we go again. And then all of a sudden they put the pedal to the metal and put distance between themselves. But that scares me also, that this 76ers team, for whatever reason, hasn't been able to put away a lot of teams when they built big leads in second halves of games. They've let teams come back and in a lot of cases overcome them and win games that the Sixers should have won. If you think about, if they'd have won 6-7 more games, maybe they might be the number 1 seed instead of a number 4 seed in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, keep in mind, too, the history of Doc Rivers, Boston aside, of falling apart, having 3-1 leads, having big leads in series. He's got a history of that. So that's something else they're going to have to look to erase. We're going to get a lot more into the Sixers, that's for sure. Hey, by the way, if you're catching us, you're watching us on the stream, you're listening to us, pound that like button. All right, pound that bad boy. And we appreciate it. I'm getting a crazy amount of comments so far. Joey B says, Rob E strikes me as a soccer dad or a lacrosse dad.
Guilty. Both of those, yes.
Guilty, both of those. Yes, I resemble that remark. Yes, I am. But no, a lot of people jumping on me. I see my man Brad, nice work. Everybody enjoying the show. But yeah, tell your friends. Let's get this thing going. It's interactive. We're not taking phone calls, but we see your comments. Believe me, we appreciate it, and we will read some of the best ones. There's no doubt about that. And we're going to talk to Tom McCarthy coming up in a couple minutes. Bottom of the hour, top of the hour at 1 o'clock, Brian Baldinger. But I do want to talk about the draft too, guys. Like I said, we'll get it back to the Sixers. But we're 10 days out. This thing's real now. It's not like we're months. It's months in looking forward here. This thing's getting real. They've already made one deal to get rid of one of the first rounders. I'm not surprised one bit. I didn't think they were going to draft 3 first rounders anyway. But I want to start with you on this one, Barrett. You're looking at where they are right now. I still sense Howie's itching to be super aggressive, whether that's up, down, whatever. Or maybe one of these wideouts that are unhappy out there. There's 3 wideouts of big names, A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel, and Terry McLaurin, who don't like their deals and maybe looking to get out. What's your sense of where we are right now, 10 days out from the draft, and what they may end up doing?
But see, I wish I was the GM, because I mean, I would go out and get one of those disenfranchised wide receivers out there that don't want to be with the franchise. They no longer want the deal that they have. And to put a Deebo Samuels in this offense will take it to another level, because we already run the ball well. And just him being a weapon that a defense has to account for puts them in a better position to go out there and run the offense that they truly want to run. And that's running the ball, having consistently doing that. But I mean, it just makes it makes a better offense for the Eagles then, because now Jalen doesn't have to be as accurate. You know, he with running the ball like that, you can go over the top with play action. Give him more time to throw it. It's a solid protection when you run play action, and you can push the ball down the field because he has guys that can go down the field. Smith can go down the field. Those are the type of receivers that you want to go out there and be running. They'll be running wide open, because you have to keep that defender in the box to stop them. Now, looking at the draft, if they don't get one of those guys, and we're getting, like you said, 10 days away, there's nobody else out in free agency you go to. So you have to draft likely a wide receiver, somebody else in that explosiveness in that locker room, especially in the wide receiver position. But you also got to look at an edge rusher or pass rusher, whether it's going to be an interior guy, because Fletch may not be here next year. He's on a 1-year deal. Or, you got to go out there and either a safety or corner. That secondary needs help. And I'm thinking corner more so than safety. A guy like Booth.
There you go.
An aggressive corner that can go out and play man-to-man.
Sauce Gardner, man. I like the Sauce, man.
You got to jump up to get Sauce.
I do it.
6'3", 200 pounds, 6'3". He's long. He reminds me of Snoop from Snoop used to be in
Washington.
In Washington.
Yeah.
Reminds me a lot of him. Really good corner, man. He can come in and be a difference maker. Now you look at a guy like Slay. Slay becomes the number 2 guy with a guy like that. Now you cooking with hot grease. You could be more aggressive because you have the guys that go out there and do it.
What's your sense, Gunner?
I don't know if Howie is going to pursue any of these big name receivers out there. When you look at the money that has flown around in free agency to receivers this offseason.
Insane.
It's been ridiculous. Now, the good thing is the first few days of free agency, the frenzy is subsided. So now when you start looking at guys, the numbers start coming down a little bit. But I think it would be in Howie's best interest if you could get a McLaurin or a Deebo Samuel on the dirt sheet. Yeah, but you're not going to get them a dirt cheap because you got to give up a lot to get one of those guys back in here.
And you got to pay him.
You got to pay him.
But
how many guys
you think will do that? Yeah, how many guys are going to come in on these one-year prove-it deals? How he's been getting away with the past couple of years. How many guys is he going to have come to the door like that?
I think you know what, Barrett. That's a good question, but I think it's determined by how long they're sitting out there because they want to stay relevant. Now, when you talk about some of the bigger names that are still out there, obviously somebody's going to grab them eventually. Somebody may get the itch and try to make a move eventually, and come in here on a prove-it deal. Howie's been great at getting guys to come in here on one-year deals, prove-it type deals in recent past.
And he signs them to the big contract after that, though.
Absolutely. And if he wants them bad enough, he'll sign them next year. Now, they'll have more cap space next year to play with as well. I just think that as of right now, they're not going to go out and get anything more than the guy they brought in from Indianapolis, Pascal. I don't think they're going to get anything more than that. And that's not a knock against him because he can be a serviceable receiver. My bigger question is, and we're going to be talking about this for a long time, is Jalen Hurts the right guy to distribute the ball?
Yeah,
is he the right guy to distribute the ball? Okay.
We're going to get into that. We're going to dive into that with Baldy, and the three of us are going to dive into that real hard, not just today, but forever.
I know.
Throughout the season.
I know, man.
We're going to get into that. That's for sure. All right, so here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to get a quick timeout. You guys catch your breath. Everybody catch your breath. Quick timeout. When we come back, we're going to turn our sights to the Phillies because we've got Tom McCarthy coming up from Colorado. Phillies playing the Rockies. Not exactly the start I think we all anticipated. So we're going to get a quick timeout. We'll talk to Brian Baldinger at 1 o'clock. We got a lot of room to cover for sure, and T-Mac will join us. I can't wait to talk to T-Mac, not about the Phillies, but the NFL, college hoops. The man does it all. So we'll talk to T-Mac in a minute. But first, I do want to tell everybody about my friends at Pro Action Restoration, okay? My man Mike McIntyre is the CEO, and I don't know about you guys, but a couple years back, my parents had some water damage in their basement, man. And they're older. They were older folks at the time. Rest in peace to both of them. But they couldn't clean up this mess, man. They had a finished basement. The carpet was soaked. It was a disaster. We got one of those nasty rainstorms, man. I called up Pro Action Restoration, and they were out there really, really quickly. And you can reach them at 610-623-3760 at proactionrestoration.com. They do water damage. They do fire damage. They do mold remediation. They're licensed, bonded, fully insured. But again, proactionrestoration.com, 610-623-3760. They came out. Not only did they get all the water out of the basement, they dried everything out for my parents. My parents didn't have to worry about it. I didn't have to worry about it. And everything was cleaned up. There was no mold, no damage to anything because they do that kind of work. So I'm telling you, man, we get some of these crazy storms that we get now, man. They're the people you want to get in touch with. Pro Action Restoration, Mike McIntyre and her crew, second to none. So get out there, check it out. I'm sure Gunnar, Barrett, you guys have dealt with this kind of stuff with having homes in the past, and it's not something you want to be dealing with, man. Trust me. Call the pros. Pro Action Restoration. All right, quick timeout. Sports Take with Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis returns with the T-Mac himself, Tom McCarthy.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
All right, did you know I was the Mommy Slam Dunk Champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake a mom. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh. When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messon Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messa & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
All right, welcome back in everybody. Sports Take, JAKIB Media YouTube Network. Rob Ellis, D Gunn, B Brooks, and joining us right now from Colorado, the man himself who does an unbelievable job, not only calling Phillies games for NBC Sports Philadelphia, but also NCAA hoops. He killed it during this NCAA tournament run, and the NFL on CBS and Westwood One. Tom McCarthy, T-Mac, how you doing?
Guys, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Tom, nice work on the painting that you did real quick for the show right behind you.
I'll be honest with you.
I appreciate that.
So my room here in Denver is beautiful, but there's no natural light. There's only one window and it's really small. I was walking around for about 20 minutes saying, "Nah, I can't do the shot there. Nah, I can't do the shot there." And then all of a sudden I was like, well, this might work. I mean, I don't know. And then I had no idea until I popped up. And while you guys were talking, I'm like, man, that looks pretty good. That's a really nice painting behind me.
Tom, you commissioned that thing in about 15 minutes. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. I just took some colors and just splashed it up against the wall and just see what happens.
That's right. Well, Tom, I do want to touch on some of the other sports that you do in a second, but we do have to start with the Phils. And there was certainly, once we got out of the lockout and they made the move with Schwarber and Castellanos, the expectation was high. And you don't want to get nuts. It's 10 games of 162, but 4-6 is not exactly what we thought. If you could put your finger on one reason why it's been a slow start, what would you say it would be?
You know, I actually think, guys, it's the pitching. I know that sounds really strange, but the starting pitching, and I thought they'd be a little delayed. I really did. I thought the starting pitching would be really delayed, but I mean, they're not going deep at all. And they're giving up a lot of runs. So to me, yeah, they're not scoring runs. They're averaging 4.5 runs per game. That's got to be better. But they're allowing just way too many runs. I mean, the starters ERA and the bullpen ERA is really high. So that has to be rectified, I think. You know, we're playing the Rockies this week. Our ERA against the Rockies out of the bullpen last year was 8. So that's got to be better. So, yes, the offense is definitely needs to figure some things out. Schwarber's got to hit. Harper's starting to churn a little bit. They got to figure out the leadoff spot. But I'm a little concerned right now about the starting staff. Not overly, but, you know, Nola starts today, and I'm hoping that he puts together a solid outing today.
Well, let's stay on that for a minute, Tom, because really, and this dates back to not just this year, but last year as well with Aaron Nola, where it's just been a struggle. And he hasn't resembled the guy that for a while was an ace of this team, really, until Zach Wheeler got here. Again, I guess I'll ask you to just kind of pinpoint, if you can, the reason why he hasn't been nearly as effective that he was earlier in his career, because, you know, we're getting beyond a couple bad starts. I mean, this has been a lot of mediocrity from him.
Yeah, so I think a lot of it is, and this is just from talking to Larry Anderson and Chad Durbin and guys like that have an idea. Predictability in hitters counts, knowing what pitch is coming, which has led to just too many home runs and really key home runs. So 2 strikes, put away pitches. That's where Aaron used to be at his best, and he has been good at times, but not necessarily enough. So he's given up way too many 2-strike hits. 2-strike home runs have been through the roof. I think it's 16 now in the last 2 years, and that's just too high of a number. And I mean, he realizes it. I really thought watching him in spring training, and I know it's spring training, but just watching the body language, the way the ball was coming out, I was like, okay, he's figured some things out. But I think the last outing showed you that it's not a finished product at this point, whatever he's fine tuning. So he's got to figure out the 2-strike hits because it's becoming too predictable in spots that hitters are taking advantage of.
He doesn't have the right stuff. I mean, because I was watching a game the other day, and he, even his changeup, like 94 miles an hour. I mean, I thought that's way better than I've seen him from the past. I mean, what's really going on?
Yeah, see, Barrett, I think that he has the stuff. His out pitch is the curveball. It's always been the curveball, but I think that it's because it has been a little too predictable at times, and it's been too loopy when it comes in. So instead of it being over the top, it's been sort of to the side. So it's kind of slurving into the strike zone. I still have incredibly high confidence in him because, I've known him for a long time. I've known him since he was in the minor leagues. He works his tail off. But I just think it's just fine tuning some things and trying to get back to being able to throw pitches like his first outing, first 6 innings. That was brilliant. And that's the Aaron Nola that I thought we would see this year. And I still think we will, but I think tonight's an important start for him.
Hey, T-Mac, while we're on the subject of the pitching staff, and again, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself and the sky's not falling because we're still in April, but Zach Wheeler, another big arm this team is counting on. When I watch it, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but when I'm watching him, I'm looking at the ball placement, velocity or lack thereof. Are you surprised with the start he's gotten off to at this point?
Gunnar, I'm not, only because I didn't think he had a high enough workload in spring training. And I know that, people are probably tired of all of us talking about a shortened spring training, but for him in particular, he's a power pitcher. And I kind of look at Sir Anthony Dominguez in the same vein as an example. So Sir Anthony's first couple of outings, 94, 95. His last outing, 97. So it's the same sort of concept of building up arm strength. To me, when you're a power pitcher, you have to build up arm strength in order to get to 97, 98. The biggest thing yesterday, 94, 95. That's not Zach Wheeler. So that if there's a concern about him, it was that. I do think he's healthy, so I think that those numbers will tick up. And I know, I'm sounding very Pollyanna here, but I'm not worried about him. I'm really not. And I just think it's going to take a couple of starts for his fastball, because we saw it the other day. His fastball was 96, 97. That's still lower, but then it trickled down this time. And I just think that it's arm strength. It's building up the arm strength. He had a shoulder issue. He didn't throw any games in spring training. He threw simulated games. So to me, I'm not worried about him, but I just think it's going to take a little extra time for him to build up his arm strength.
Tom, let's jump to the bats for a minute. I think Joe Girardi's in a tough spot at third base with Alec Bohm. And, we all know he's not the greatest fielder in the world. Nobody's going to confuse him for Mike Schmidt. But at least early on in the opportunity he's gotten this year, he's hit the ball. Okay. And I know there's a DH, but he's going to be DHing, you're looking at either Schwarber or Castellanos likely sitting. What do you do with the Bohm situation? Because this is a team right now that needs somebody who's hitting. He's hitting, but he hasn't played much.
Yeah, Rob, I think he's going to play third tonight. I don't know that for a fact, but I just get the sense that he's going to play third tonight. He's not a very good defender, as we all know, and he's working hard to try to get better at that. But I think that you put the nail on the head. He is hitting, but you'd rather have Schwarber or Castellanos out there, in my opinion, than Alec Bohm, even offensively. I actually think that Joe has picked his spots for him to have success offensively. So in doing that, it's given him a little bit more confidence. Bohm, that is. I still think that he is at times a liability at third, and you have to be careful of which pitcher is out there to put him there. So Ranger Suarez pitched on Saturday. I didn't think there was any shot he was going to play third base because that was the issue the last time. So I think Joe's making some very difficult decisions that probably don't seem to sit from a popular standpoint in the city of Philadelphia right now, because Bohm was 7 for 10. But I still think if you really look at it, he's managed that 7 for 10. There's been matchups that have benefited Alec. Now his confidence is gaining, but I do think he'll probably be out there tonight. This will be a good test because you've got a kid in Chad Kuhl, who's a local product. He's got a good slider, and he's got a really good sinker that he's using. So that's going to be a good test for Alec if indeed he is out there. But defensively, Camargo's way better at third base, and he was hitting also. It's just that he wasn't hitting 700. He was hitting 300. But I have a feeling that he'll be out there tonight.
I tell you what, T-Mac, when Bohm dropped that F-bomb, man, I'm thinking, oh, snap. His career's over in Philly. That's it. But I was shocked at how people embraced him.
Well, I mean, Gunnar, you know this as well as I do. I mean, the fact that he stepped up and took it like and took it like a man, and really answered the question the proper way. I'm still amazed that somebody picked that up. I mean, I didn't see it, and it was on our telecast. I mean, how did somebody even say,
you can't get away with anything now, Tom.
How did somebody even say, yeah, I'm going to go back and see what Alec Bohm may have said after that play? I'm like, why would you even think that there would be anything said?
Right.
You know, that's why we make fun of, this with the gloves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, anybody's going to make fun of that anymore. I think we're going to do this from here on out, Kyrie yesterday couldn't hide what he did. He tried to. With a glove, you can at least hide that a little bit. So, yeah, I was a little worried about that too, Gunnar. But I do think that he stepped up and approached it the right way at the end. I thought the veterans in the clubhouse did a really good job. I thought the PR staff did an excellent job because I know that they sort of managed that through. And I think Joe did too, because I think Joe told him, hey, you got to face the music on this one. And he did. You got to face the music on that one.
Well, let me ask you a question. How is Joe handling this DH situation now that, I mean, it should be helping the Phillies out a lot,
Yeah. I think what he's doing is that you're seeing now Harper's batting second. At least he was yesterday. He may do it again today because now he's like, well, there's no pitcher. So Harper's going to have a chance to drive in some runs if the number 9 hitter is a position player. So that's where he's going to tinker it. I think it's a challenge for him because Castellanos wants to play the field. Schwarber wants to play the field. And obviously Harper wants to play every day because he wants to be engaged. So Joe is going to have a challenge, but I don't think it's a bad one, Barrett. I think it's just one of those coaching decisions that he's going to have to manage and massage. Harper having success yesterday as the DH will help convince Harper that, I can handle being a DH every once in a while and get him off his feet a little bit. They talk about that a lot. But Harper wants to be in there all the time. Schwarber wants to play, and so does Castellanos. But I think Castellanos understood when he signed here that he'd probably DH 4 days a week. And maybe play the outfield once or twice a week. So I think that that's made it a little easier.
Hey, Tom, I mentioned this in the intro. You do a great job of jumping around from sport to sport to sport. I know it gets a little crazy for you, especially during spring training when you're doing NCAA games and, et cetera. Which sport is the most difficult to prep for? Baseball, football, hoops, anything else you've done in your career?
Well, football is, to me, on TV is the biggest animal that I deal with, and I love it because it starts when I find out what my game is. Let's say a week before, 2 weeks before.
Yep.
It starts maybe Monday morning, maybe Sunday night, just putting my chart together. And even though my basketball chart is automated now, the way we have it set up, Kevin Franzen, our former partner and Phillies infielder, is an Excel savant. So he's come up with this program for all of us to use, and it's basically based on my basketball book and my baseball book. And I press the button, and stats are in. Like I've already had all the stats in for tonight's game, and it's 10:45 local time here in Colorado. But football, I still write it all out because I'll admit to you that the only way for me to remember all the names and numbers is to write it out. And that to me is the hardest thing. So, charts done by Monday, meetings or films start Monday night, Tuesday, stories start to be popped into my chart on Tuesday and Tuesday night. Wednesday is my first sort of production meeting with my producer. And then Thursday, it's travel day, all the storylines get together. And then it's all day meetings Friday, all day meetings Saturday, and then the game. So, that first beer goes down in about 10 seconds after an NFL game on TV because, man, because it's such a joy to do. I mean, I love doing it because there's so much to it. You guys know we rely on so many other folks' talents to be successful. And I always say that in Philadelphia, I'm so fortunate because when I do a home game for the Phillies, I mean, our camera guys and the people in the production cavity are just unbelievable. Like you can't compare them to anybody else. They're so good. That's how I feel about doing a football game. And the talents that those guys have and gals have, it's just incredible. And you kind of rely on that. But that to me is awesome when you're done with a game like that.
T-Mac, it's tough, man, doing college football, man, because you learn 90 guys
Amen.
every single week, man.
And my chart's a good size, and then all of a sudden I'm taping other things, and I'm like, what am I doing? There's two different numbers, and but it's pretty exhilarating though when it's all done.
Yeah. Tom, listen, man, we appreciate it. We know you got a little beat from the flight from Miami. We're looking forward to the call tonight. NBC Sports Philadelphia. You get the Phillies. And of course, the Rockies, see if they get back on track. Big game for Aaron Nola. I know it's early in the season, but you want to see him start to resemble that guy that we've been grown accustomed to. That's for sure. But Tom, always great. Hey, you're our first guest, man.
I was going to say, history. He's made history.
Come on, Tom.
This picture's going to go down in infamy. I may take it and bring it back.
We need it. I'll put it in the backdrop, Tom. One of us, maybe Barrett, will do that.
Hey, T-Mac is our first guest. And you're part of history. We're going to send you gifts. It's coming out of Barrett Brooks' paycheck. But we're going to send you gifts.
That's correct.
Nice.
Yes.
So looking in the mail. I got to ask T-Mac one thing before you go because I love listening to you. I don't care what you call it. You can call a little league game and D-Gun's going to listen. But in all your travels, what's your favorite stadium and what's your favorite city to travel to?
Francisco, the Giants Stadium is my favorite baseball stadium, and we were talking about this on the plane last night, just because of the vantage point. I love the whole setup, everything about it. I love Seattle for football. I just think that has such tremendous energy to it, and I also like the city from a restaurant standpoint. But this is probably going to surprise a lot of you guys, but my favorite city to call an NFL game from is Indianapolis.
Really? It's a great stadium.
Stadium, PR staff. Matt Conti is a local guy. He's from the Philadelphia area. He's great to work with. I did a lot of Andrew Luck's games when I was younger, so that's where I kind of got, sort of acclimated to the NFL scene. I don't know. I just enjoy being there.
Very cool. I would not have guessed Indianapolis.
I tell people that all the time. They're like,
all right.
The thing I love most about that stadium, T-Mac, is you walk the concourse. They got the racing cars sitting up there in the concourse. You get to look at real racing cars.
Which we can't fit in.
I know, man. Sideways like this, maybe, but that's it.
Oh, man. Tom, listen, looking forward to the call and really appreciate you hopping on for a couple minutes with
us. You, man.
Thank you, T. Thank you very much.
Everything, guys.
All right. That was T-Mac. What a great dude, man. And versatility. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys have had the chance to listen to him either call games on CBS or Westwood, whatever, doing football games. Man, he is sharp and he does an unbelievable job. He called on during the NCAA tournament. He called the St. Peter's one of their wins.
Yeah.
It was perfect because their nickname's the Peacocks, and he just made his final call, man, when they advanced to the Elite Eight was just unreal. So Tommy does a great job.
Can you imagine when he calls and places a food order, with that voice?
Right.
Man, come on, man. Who is this? Really?
Right. Get it. Yeah. So I got to share this with you guys. So I was, and Gunnar knows this because I was in correspondence with him the entire time. So I did this insane road trip last week. Rolled out Tuesday and came back Saturday. I got home about 3:00 Saturday. So we took my daughter on a college tour. We went from PA all the way to South Carolina, and we visited 8 colleges in 4 days.
Wow.
Yeah. Tuesday, we did Virginia Tech. Wednesday, we did High Point in North Carolina. Thursday, we did Clemson and South Carolina. Friday, or well, no, I'm sorry, Thursday. Yeah, Friday. Sorry, Friday. We did College of Charleston and Coastal Carolina, and then got up at 5 a.m. and drove back Saturday. Man, it was. I mean, the campuses are ridiculous, but it was a grind, man. It was a grind.
You got me feeling bad now.
Driving.
So what was your favorite campus, Rob? Not your kids, but your favorite campus.
The most insane campus I've ever seen is High Point. And I wasn't even familiar with High Point University, okay?
Okay.
It is a resort. Every building is brand new. I got to be careful how I say this. The co-eds were attractive, if you don't know.
Yo, man, you can't. Yeah, you too old to be saying that, bro. You can't be saying that.
Just saying, as an old creepy dad. But no. The buildings are all brand new. There's like a Chick-fil-A. There's a barber. There's a get a massage.
It was never any of that stuff when we went to school.
I would have failed out in 2 seconds. I don't know if I would have lasted a week on one of these campuses. Like they were all insane. I'm telling you, they were all unbelievable. But
that's crazy.
That was the coolest one. I think in terms of I thought College of Charleston's in a really cool little town in Charleston, South Carolina. South Carolina was really cool. And Clemson, and we don't tell anybody. We snuck into the football field and kind of got on, which was pretty cool. So it was pretty awesome, man. But I got to tell you, so I made great time. We got up at 5 a.m. Saturday, and I cranked through South Carolina and North Carolina. I got to about Richmond, Virginia, and it was like, it was. And Delaware, your home state, Gunner, was a parking lot, dude.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Once you get by 95, right by the mall, that Christiana Mall there, that's where you get that backup because people are going across 295 trying to get across that Delaware Memorial Bridge. Dude, I don't care what day of the week it is. I avoid that like the plague, man, because it just sits. The traffic just sits.
It's bad.
And I'm like, and then starting Memorial Day weekend all the way through Labor Day weekend, it magnifies even more because you got all the vacationers back and forth now going to Jersey and upper state Jersey and parts of New York who come down here now. Why don't you people in upper Jersey and New York stay in your own state, man? Don't come down to the beaches here, man. We used to have elbow room down the beaches in Delaware, man. Now you got to sit like this with your family under an umbrella this big, man. That's all the only space you got left, dude.
That's the worst thing about living where I live because when I went to our former job, your former job where I still work at. When you're going, it bottlenecks right there because you're going over to 42. Everybody's going towards the shore. And I got to get through there and turn to get up on 295. Bro, it's the worst, man. Like, from Thursday on, it's the worst place to be, man.
It is crazy. Well, all right. So people who I'm sure, people who are tuning in have some familiarity with our background. But for people who may not know, I'll start. So born and bred here in Philly. Worked at Comcast Sportsnet, then NBC Sports Philadelphia for 17 years in two parts. WIP, still host at WIP as well. 97.5 host there as well. ESPN was my first gig. And I was fortunate enough to work with both of these two gentlemen, Derek for a long time at Comcast Sportsnet, and then Barrett when he came on a little bit later. We did the show Breakfast on Broad together. But so that's just a little something on me. But you guys want to jump in real quick? Derek, go ahead.
Yeah, I've been doing this over 4 decades, man. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I've lived in San Diego, Milwaukee, Pittsburgh, and now here. I was there at Comcast NBC for 23 years, had a great time there, and thanks to COVID, things changed. But that's cool, though, because since then I've been working for CBS Channel 3, 97.5. I do shows for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I've been able to branch out and do a lot more things. Now I've been blessed to work with the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. And, people who know me know I love to do 2 things outside of my family, which is first and foremost the most important thing for me now. And I got 3 grandkids, a 4th one coming in September. I love to grill and I love to fish. And I'm looking at some of the comments. I've had 5 or 6 comments, people asking, is that a rainbow trout? For those of you who are late arriving, let me go through it again. On the wall, I have 4 fish that I've caught over the last 20 years. One is a largemouth bass, one is a crappie, one is a steelhead trout, and one is a walleye. So no, rainbow trout. I've never rainbow trout fish. Probably won't. I don't know why. I just don't rainbow trout fish.
Is that why you didn't go the last time? I went with your son, but you didn't. You opted out.
He stiffed you? He didn't go?
Yeah, well, yeah. No,
that's not cool, man. What is that?
I was going, but my wife said, hey, you promised to do the work around the house. I said, well, can I do it tomorrow? Well, you've been putting it off for a month. So D-Gun got to stay home and do what D-Gun had to do. So I couldn't go, B. Brooks.
So I took his son and his son's boss.
Okay.
Trout fishing. I went trout fishing with him.
Yeah.
How'd we do?
Time, though.
All right. Did you get anything? Get any action?
Yeah. I caught about 3 or 4.
He lying. He bought him from the shop down the road. He lying. He ain't catch nothing, man. He lying. Speaking of which, Rob, this dude here, he's been trying to get me to go out on the ocean fishing with him for years now. He has a nice boat out on the ocean, right?
The both of you guys are coming.
I am not getting in the boat with Rob Bell. When's the last time you fished, Rob?
I'm a land lover, Gunner. I'm a land.
He ain't getting in the boat.
I belong on land. Look, I know my limitations. I'm a land dude. I'll be like at the dock, like go, Gunner.
No, man.
And I'll go to the bar, and then I'll meet you guys when you get back, and we'll celebrate. How about that?
See, every time Rob casts a line, I'm not going to be doing this looking for where the hook is, man.
Dude, I'll bring one of these with us. I don't know what that's going to do.
Hey, but Bear's been trying to get me to go out for years on a boat with him out in the ocean.
You got to go. You got to go.
And
that's my
I told him, because I've watched the movie Jaws and Megalodon too many times, I'm not going out farther than 5 miles. I got to see land.
Yeah,
Bear wants to go out 60, 70 miles fishing for tuna and stuff.
I wonder if we're going tuna.
Right.
We'll go flounder. Flounder's only 10.
I would end up being Quint from Jaws. I would just get fed into one of those bags.
Let me tell you something, bro. Yeah. I ain't going out that far with Barrett Brooks, and he's been trying to get back at me for a lot of pranks I've pulled on him through the years. And even though he's afraid of my wife, I'm still not going to give him that opportunity to put a cement block around my feet and drop me 60,000 feet in the ocean. It's not going to happen, man.
I love both you guys. You guys will have a great time, guys.
Right.
We'll have a great
I'll put
time.
my trust in Barrett. I'll do it.
See?
And we will document it. We will document the fishing.
All right. Go ahead, man.
We will show the folks. All right.
Go ahead. You got to come too.
Take your life in your hands, man. Go ahead, bro.
I think we need our birds fixed, guys. So what we're going to do is everybody catch their breath again for a second. We'll get a quick timeout. We're going to step away. We come back. We're going to talk to the man himself, the travel dog himself.
I love this guy.
And I want to hear what he's been doing in the offseason, because Baldy doesn't just go to the shore or anything.
No,
he gets exotic with the way that he travels.
Right.
So we'll get a quick timeout. We'll come back. We're going to talk to Brian Baldinger about what he thinks the Eagles are going to do. Jalen Hurts, will they trade for a wideout? How much action there's going to be come draft night starting on April 28th. That's for sure. And by the way, we will be at Ocean Resort doing the show live that night and that day from Ocean Resort on draft day, the 28th. So quick time out. We'll come back. Don't go anywhere, man. Tell a friend. Sports Take, D Gunn, B Brooks, R Ellis.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake a mom. Mama, go up, up.
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Sports Take, JAKIB Media YouTube Network. And I thought, you know what, if we're going to have a show where we're discussing the Eagles and the draft and what's happening in the NFL, who better than Brian Baldinger? He'll be joining us momentarily, but who better than Brian Baldinger to talk to about the NFL Network, Fox Sports, Compass Media, Odyssey, just the ultimate insider, and a guy, and Barrett, you can attest to this, a guy who just lives in the film room, man, never takes a day off.
That's all he does, man. I can remember I was still playing, and my last 2 years with the Steelers, right after the championship game, and then right after the Super Bowl, he would invite a lot of people to his house, guys that wanted to break into the business, and sit down and break down film with him.
Mm-hmm.
And me and him sat down, we broke down all the Steeler playoff games, and just talking about it. I was like, man, I would love to do this, just watching the stuff, breaking it down. So then I retired because I was hurt, went back to school, got an MBA, and I was sitting there, I was actually selling synthetic turf.
Okay.
And I thought, you know what, I want to get back into football. So I called Baldy. Hey, Baldy, man, I want to get back into football, man, doing something, man, everything. He said, all right, just come on up with me. So he brought me up to where he works at NFL Films, sat me down in front of Mr. Sable. Hey, this guy wants to get into football. Can you get him a job here? Mr. Sable said, yes, come back. You have to intern. I interned for a whole year, serving Baldy, Sterling, Jaws, all these guys coffee, going out to Chick-fil-A to get Sterling Chick-fil-A. I mean, just all that stuff, man. You know what I mean?
You never do that for me.
Yeah, right.
I just can't believe you guys just said that.
I'm serious, hey, man.
As much as I did for y'all.
I'm just saying,
as
bro.
As much as I did, I used to bring donuts, all that stuff.
He did. Barrett, you know what? But I'll tell you though, that says something about you, that you played the game for as many years as you played, and you're still willing to put in the time to do an internship and not get paid.
Yeah, I was a content producer. Yeah,
and look where it led you, to being stuck with Gunner and I. But anyway, that's a whole different story. So Xander,
you know what though? I don't want to break up. I don't want to break your thought, right? But I'd have to say this because Barrett and I, we rib each other all the time.
Yeah.
But I will say this, man. This is one of the most down to earth dudes you ever wanted to meet.
I agree with you.
For a guy who's 6'5", 330 plus pounds, he's an imposing figure, but he is one of the most righteous, down to earth dudes I've ever met. And I know we joke a lot, but I'm gonna give you your props this one time because I get more joy out of antagonizing him. Me being 5'10", 5'11", 225 pounds. I know he can't swing at me on camera, so I can say what I want to say now. But
he does know where you live, so just keep that in mind.
But here's the thing. He's afraid of my wife, who's 5'3", so I'm good either way. He ain't gonna mess with me. I'm good.
I'm not messing with either one of your wives. Okay, let me just be real clear.
Right. Look, your wife threatens me too.
I know.
She hadn't done the last 2 years because it's COVID, but every year leading up to that, I have to go, and Robbie's wife is a teacher, and I have to go to her school.
Yes.
And I'm supposed to read to the kids.
Yeah.
But hey, B books don't read. He don't read prompting. He don't read nothing. I'm supposed to read.
I can vouch for that.
I'll just tell you something about both of these two guys. Were both nice enough to go out and read to my wife's class.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I did also.
To this day, man, these kids, and they're in like 5th, 6th, 7th grade now because they were little guys at the time. they still talk about it, how much fun they had
Really?
those days. So yeah, I'm telling you, man, it tells you something about you guys.
I agreed to do it on several occasions, not just because, I love Rob to death, and his wife is a gem, but every year I got to read Dr. Seuss books, and I still to this day I love Dr. Seuss books, man.
We play games when I go there.
Look,
games.
I'm reading them to my grandson now. I got the whole collection. My green eggs and ham and hop on pop. Still two of my favorites today, man. I just love. And when I would do it at Rob's class, I would read certain lines and let the kids finish, and the kids loved it. And I wouldn't just sit there and just read a book to the kids. I would interact with the kids.
Yeah.
I do not like, and the kids would jump up, green eggs and ham, like it's the first time they ever got to say it out loud in public. I love that stuff, man. So
look, we play games when I come. We go back, and Rob, he makes sure he gets the most difficult Eagles questions he can find. And I go against, am I smarter than a fifth grader? And that's the game we play.
We know the answer. All right, so joining us right now, without further ado, is the man himself, Brian Baldinger. Baldy, welcome to the show, man. We really appreciate you taking a couple minutes.
Well, it's good to see. I don't know if you can see me here, Rob, but I see all you guys.
You know what I'm going to do, Baldy? I'm going to make sure Xander gets you squared away because there's a bit of an echo and we aren't seeing you. So I'm going to have Xander Kraus, our producer, our executive, our EP is going to jump in and kind of get you straightened out, make sure everything's all right audio-wise.
Okay.
So hang 1 second, Baldy. We just don't want to lose everything, what you've been talking about. Guys, but I do want to lead into Baldy with this because we touched on it a little bit earlier. The Eagles hit on the draft last year, if you think about it.
Yes, they did.
When you get when you have quality contributions from really, you can make an argument you're 1 through 3 or 1 through 4. When you think about what Devontae Smith gave them, what Milton Williams, Landon Dickerson, Kenny Gainwell gave them last year. You think about that. I mean, as much maligned and deservedly so for a lot of what Howie's done, they did hit last year. And you wonder, can they carry that momentum over into this year is the big question.
See, it's been too sporadic with this organization in terms of building this team the way they want to build it. Howie keeps talking about we want to get younger. Every team likes to get younger every 3 or 4 years. And we want to build this. But when you miss every other year, then you defeat the purpose of what you're trying to do. And as you said, Rob, he hit on it last year. He got deep into the draft, and he got value for his draft picks last year. So I'm crossing my fingers hoping he can do it again, because if you can build around what you already have, you talk about the Devontae Smiths, Dallas Goedert's still a young player, Jordan Mailata's still a young up-and-coming player. We don't know how much longer the running back situation is going to stay the way it is. It could change, periodically, but that's okay. But if you have a core group, especially when you talk about the interior of this team, then you're building it in a right way. And in every 2 or 3 years, all of a sudden you become relevant again in terms of talking about going deep into the playoffs. But when you hit 1 year, miss the next year, hit 1 year, miss the next year, you're stagnant. Okay, you're lucky to get into the playoffs. You might win the division, so on and so forth. The New England Patriots' claim to fame was they didn't care about draft picks. They would sell all their draft picks. They would get a proven player, and it worked for them for 15 years because they had the franchise quarterback, and they would take Pro Bowlers from other teams. And we saw the Rams do it last year. But a lot of teams are now going to build it.
I hear you, man. All right, we have him. We got Baldy. Baldy's ready to roll, man. So we bring him up right now. There's the travel dog. There he is.
And look at him. He's at work too. He's on the NFL films now.
Yeah, Baldy, is that where are we in the lab right now? Are we cultivating film breakdown? What are we doing right now?
He can't hear us.
He can't hear us.
Baldy's not hearing us. So all right, we're seeing Baldy. We're not hearing Baldy. So we are working out some of the kinks as we speak. Baldy, give me a thumbs up if you can hear us. All right, he's not hearing us right now. So we'll get that straightened out. But Gunnar, just stay on your point for a minute. I agree. There's been far too much inconsistency. When you look at this year, when you're sitting there with 2 picks as high as they are, and granted, they traded away one of them, but as high as they are right now, with some of the holes, you better be right again. Like if you're not going to go crazy. Now, they made some moves, Reddick, et cetera, where they got better. And I think White from the Chargers. But if you're not going to get really crazy in free agency or making trades, you better get this draft right, man.
Well, see, that's the problem because when we won the Super Bowl, we were going out and we got quality guys to fill in free agency.
Yeah.
but that's really not how you build a team. If you want long-term stability.
Yeah, that was kind of lightning in a bottle to it.
Right. The Rams did it this last year. They got lightning in a bottle. When you build through the draft, like a la Cincinnati, Kansas City, they built through the draft. And I hate to say it, but Dallas is building through the draft. They're not going to get free. They're building through the draft. And that's why they're staying at a level. They're pretty good. Yeah. Now, last year should have been a Super Bowl year for them. They had the roster to do it. They're just being coached by the wrong guy. And I love that he's staying there. I'm so glad he stayed.
Yeah, lock him in, Jerry.
Right, yeah. But the Eagles are trying to do it the right way. They are trying to draft. And like it or not, when you're a top third round, from first, second, or third round, those guys should have an immediate impact, whether it's special teams, starting, getting quality minutes. And they hit on that last year. The year before that, not so much. But they've got to figure out a means of getting guys and come in and contribute. We didn't do anything in free agency, which makes me think, all right, we're going to go into this draft and get guys that are going to have an instant impact right now because there's nobody else out there they can go get. So I'm hoping Howie is drafting for needs because the needs that they have is a deep draft in the needs. The secondary, the safety and corner, the linebacker position, and rush in the defensive line position and wide receiver position. Those are their greatest needs. Now you get a person from each one of those, from each or one of those two places will be okay because we have a major need. But after that, they got to start hitting because there's going to be quality guys in the second round also. A lot of quality guys in the second and third round that'll fill the needs of the safety, fill the needs of linebacker. All these guys are quality. So I want to see what Howie is, what's in his mind, and if he's going to listen to others, during this draft process. I'm anxious to see. Andy Waddell is something somebody he's going to listen to.
Yeah, going to be interesting. All right, let me see if we have him. Brian Baldinger, can you hear us, Brian? Not quite yet. Okay, so we're still
modern technology.
Xander's still working on it. Well, let me ask you guys this in terms of the draft. I'm not afraid of this personally, but do you think they look at it and they say, whiffed on Ortega-Whiteside, whiffed on Reagor, hit on Smith, but because we went second round, first round, they would avoid going that direction again in the first round this year? I don't think they should.
I don't either.
But do you guys think they would avoid that because of that?
I think the only reason they may is because they have much more glaring needs on the defensive side of the ball. I think this draft class is still deep enough in wide receivers that they could get a good wide receiver in the second or third round, but you cannot get another Ortega-Whiteside on this roster. If they play their cards right, you can still get a quality pass catcher, a versatile. And you look at a lot of these receivers coming out of college now, they're not one-dimensional anymore. You got a lot of these guys that can play the slot and the outside now. They're becoming a dime a dozen, which is a good thing for teams that need pass catchers. So you can get them. I still think they need to hit the defensive side hard in that first round. If they get a D tackle, look who you're grooming under. Javon Hargrave, Fletcher Cox. You get a cornerback. You're complimenting a Darius Slay who can help groom you as well. I wouldn't be opposed to them getting another linebacker, a young linebacker that they can build that defense around. You look at a lot of teams, i.e. the Pittsburgh Steelers, every year they build a defense around their linebacking core. I have no problem with that. I know there's some good pass catchers in that first round. If they get one, kudos to them for adding to the offensive arsenal. But I think defense is still more of a priority from my perspective.
How about you, Bear?
I think that this is the draft in which you can really just throw a dart and get a quality player at any position that they're wanting. And you look at it, there's going to be some guys, like it or not, there are going to be 3 or 4 quarterbacks drafted in the first round, way too high. This is not the draft.
Always reaching.
So once they start running, they go and runs. So first off, I think the defensive line, offensive line is going to make a run. They're going to make a run first, then the defensive line, then you're going to start getting the quarterback position. They're going to have a run. So there's going to be plenty of rush ins and corners that you could pick, and wide receivers.
Right.
So this is a can't lose draft. This is probably the easiest draft that Howie will draft in ever, because there's so many good good, talented players at the position. You know, you can draft a position of need and also a position of the best player available and still hit when they pick at 15 and 18. You know what I'm saying? You still literally have that capability. So I mean, like I said, I like Andy Waddell. He comes from that Ravens coaching tree, drafting tree. If he can go out and influence Howie in the right direction, and they don't go out try to be the smartest guys in the room. If somebody is the best receiver, don't get the project. Get the best damn receiver. Don't do me like you did me before.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I'm hoping that's the case. I'm hoping they go out and get something. And I'm saying this, and I shouldn't be saying it, but I don't want another offensive lineman in the first round.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They can do without it this year. Even though I'm an offensive lineman, I can do without getting a quality starting offensive lineman this year. Let's go with a real position of need.
See, I agree with you, Bear, because I was going to say, it's funny you brought up the offensive line. I think even with the loss of Brandon Brooks, I think they have enough nucleus in young offensive linemen that they can still be very effective. I mean, you look at how they ran the football down people's throats in 2021, mixing and matching when people got injured and things like that. And with Jeff Stoutland coaching these guys up, one of the better, I think, offensive line coaches in the game today, I still think you know how he's going to draft an offensive lineman somewhere, but I don't think it's a priority in the first or second round. Add some more young depth that can be groomed behind your stable of offensive linemen right now, so that when one leaves by way of free agency, another one gets hurt, you know, you can pluck them off your own practice squad, whatever the case may be. They already know your system. You can plug and play. You know, go that route. But I still you need to get players in the first couple of rounds that can be impact players right now for you. I think you have to get at least one. If you stick with the 2 first-round picks now, one of those it's mandatory. One of those 2 first-round picks is a starter for you in 2022.
Yes.
The other one needs to be a significant contributor, and whoever you get in the second round also needs to be a significant contributor to your offense or defense, however you want to plug and play.
Absolutely. Those first 3 picks we have should be guys who can come in and contribute right now. And that's
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I mean, you look at this, you know, the division and what's gone on the last couple of years. You know, Dallas we know has talent, but they're eminently beatable. And you point out, you know, Barrett with their coach, who I agree with. Dak's still got to prove he can win the big game, right? You look at Washington; they can't get out of their own way for a million different reasons, right? The Giants,
They got our ticking time bomb there.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. As long as
Trojan horse.
As long as that guy owns them, forget it.
I'm saying Wentz is our Trojan horse.
Oh, that too. We haven't even gotten into that. But you know, on top of that, I don't buy Daniel Jones. I've never bought Daniel Jones. I like Brian Dable as a coach, but I'm not. So my point is, if you look at this division, while Dallas is talented, I think it's still it's there for the taking. The question is, you get beyond that, how good can you be? Are you ready to play with the real big boys and some of the other guys that are out there? You know, Green Bay, I think, may take a step back. They lost some firepower, and Aaron Rodgers can't be happy about that.
And coaching power.
Coaching power, great point. Right. I think the division is down big time. I think the South I'm talking about is down big time, big time. The West is tough. Look, but what's San Francisco? Who's the quarterback? You know, what's that going to look like? Can the Rams repeat? The last team that repeated was the Patriots, and that was forever ago. So there's a lot of different ways that we can go with this thing that this team could really capitalize. That's for sure. All right, so I think he's finally ready. We got him. Yeah.
What's up, fellas?
Yo,
what's going on, Baldy?
Dude, man, technology is crazy.
It is, yeah, as much as we think we've advanced, we were better off just, you know, getting the old rotary phone and dialing each other up.
I could have just driven over to your house, Rob, and been easier.
No doubt. So I got to ask you, man, you're in the lab right now, I'm assuming, right? You are? Okay. Yeah. So what are you, what film are you breaking down today?
I was watching Chad Muma from Wyoming. He reminds me of Logan Wilson, who came out of Wyoming 2 years ago. He's almost the identical, stats, and production and just his, overall metrics, about the same. And Logan's, I did Bengal preseason games this year. I knew he was a good player. I didn't know he'd end up with 5 interceptions and, help lead the team to a Super Bowl. But Logan's a good player. This kid, Chad Muma, is he's identical to him.
Interesting. But well, let me ask you, Baldy, because we were just touching on something. You brought up, the Super Bowl. I'm thinking of the Rams while you bring it up. Not that they haven't drafted well with guys like Aaron Donald, et cetera, but they sort of threw conventional wisdom out the window when it comes to just cultivating through the draft. And it paid off. They went for it. Who knows what happens 2-3 years down the line? Do you think we're going to see more teams trending that way, or are people still going to say, look, man, you got to build through the draft. You got to value those draft picks?
No, I think we're already seeing it. First of all, yes, the Rams have surrendered first and second round picks for, Jared Goff or, Von Miller, whoever they've traded for, Jalen Ramsey. But, Nick Scott was a 7th round pick out of Penn State. I thought he was their best safety last year. Rob Havenstein was a 4th round pick at right tackle. He starts every game for him. You go through the list of guys, Brian Allen, the 3rd round pick at center. You just go through the list of guys that they've hit on, in the middle rounds or late rounds that are starting for them or playing a significant amount. So while they have surrendered some top picks to get Jalen and, to get some, to get the quarterback, all that, they've hit on their other picks though. So, but other teams are looking at it right now going, let's get proven players. And let's build with guys that we know can play and have played at a high level.
Hey, Baldy, why do you think, and this has always just boggled my mind, when you talk about how the Rams hit on players in the middle to lower rounds, you look at teams that have also had that kind of success, the teams like the Seattles, the Green Bays, the Baltimores. What's the difference between those teams finding those diamonds in the roughs in those middle to late rounds compared to so many teams that consistently miss in those middle to late rounds?
Well, I think in volume of picks helps, Derek. Like the Ravens have 4 4th-round picks this year.
Okay.
So, with 4, now they've had that before. And, sometimes, a 4th-round pick basically has about a 25% chance of becoming an NFL starter in this league. So it's not the highest percentage, but if you have 4 of them, maybe you can get 1 or 2. Zadarius Smith was a 5th-round pick, who's I still think can lead this league in sacks. He's up in Minnesota now, but he's just a great kid and works really hard, and he's gotten better and better. So, I think volume of picks helps, but, Seattle, obviously, when you pick Bobby Wagner with the 2nd round and you pick Russell Wilson with the 3rd round 10 years ago, they struck gold with both those players. Actually, Robert Turbin was a 4th round pick that year, and he started at running back for a while. So, it's just really a question of just doing your homework. And, sticking to your board, just sticking to it, Derek. And just knowing how to evaluate these guys and where to slot them and where to pick them. Some teams are just better at it than other teams.
How much homework do you think the Eagles have done really to go into this season to be confident in Hurts and really, evaluating the quarterback situation? These other guys coming out this year. I just don't see the quality of quarterbacks that's better even than last year. And if you look at these guys this year, I don't even think they're better than the guys that they're not playing in the NFL right now from last year. They're still on the bench. So I don't know, what's their evaluation of these new guys that are coming out this year? What do you think it is?
Well, I think, it's pretty much a consensus right now, Barrett, that Kenny Pickett, he started 49 games at Pitt. He beat the University of Miami as an 18-year-old freshman, making his only start that year. He's got a lot of starts under his belt. There's a lot of things that you like about him. I think he's very pro-ready. I think you're going to see that in the draft too. But Malik Willis, he looks like he's Jalen Hurts to me with better mechanics of throwing the football. His movement is outstanding. You could see that, like a lot of guys that are good runners with the ball, he probably breaks the pocket too early. But I think if somebody spends a year really working with him and coaches him hard, I think Malik Willis is going to be a top-line starter in this league. And I think a lot of teams look at him like that. It's just a question of, how early do you want to draft him? You want to draft him at 6 with Carolina, you draft him at 20 with Pittsburgh. Just a question of where they're going to take him. But I think both those guys have a chance to be quality starters in the NFL.
Yeah, Baldy, with the quarterback thing, you get a sense that we've been talking about this quite a bit, but that the Eagles don't love Jalen Hurts. And tell me if you disagree with that assessment. That said, how likely is it that they maybe use one of those first 2 picks? I know they had Matt Corral in, they've had Pickett in, who you mentioned. How likely is it that they would use one of those first 2 picks on a quarterback?
I think it's unlikely, Rob. I mean, I guess they could shock us all, but I just don't see it. I think that's why they traded with New Orleans to get their number 1 pick next year. I think they've got some artillery next year if Jalen Hurts doesn't work out. But I think they like the person. I think they like what they have seen as far as just his upside, his improvement, and I think they want to continue to work with that. I think they like the backup that they brought in from Jacksonville last year, for what they have right now. And so I think they're going to continue on that direction this year. Now, it might all fall apart next year because they got to see better growth from him as far as, being able to throw with better touch. And I think if they feel like if they can surround with better players, that you're going to see a more improved Jalen Hurts this year.
Hey, Baldy, do you think the Eagles have done a pretty good job in terms of shielding Jalen Hurts from a lot of the outside criticisms? I mean, think about when you were 24 years old, and you and Barrett were playing the game at the highest level then, but you were playing it as offensive lineman. We all know that the quarterback is the most magnified position in all of pro football. But when you think about from the time he was named a potential starter last spring, even, he's always had to look over his shoulder. Where they're going to bring in a Deshaun Watson. Then they bring in a Gardner Minshew. Fans in Philadelphia loved him one week, hated him the next week. And players who tell you, I say this all the time, players who tell you, I don't listen to the outside criticism are lying, because either they do listen to it or they have somebody close to them telling them about it every day that feeds them that stuff. Now here he comes back again. Okay, he's the man for now. That's a lot of pressure for a 24-year-old to carry, Baldy. Do you think the Eagles have done a good enough job in terms of shielding him from all the outside noise?
Well, I don't know. First of all, I don't know that it really affects Jalen. Right. To be honest with you, Derek. Right. He's an unusual guy. Mm-hmm. His father was a coach, comes out of Channelview High School in Houston. Mm-hmm. Could have gone to any of the big schools in Houston in high school, but he wanted to play for his dad. Yeah. I've been around him quite a bit. He's just an unusual guy. I don't know that they can really shield him. I mean, Philadelphia's Philadelphia. I don't know that you could just say, put a barrier up and you're not going to hear this stuff. A lot of people did their homework on Deshaun Watson. Right or wrong, a lot of people did homework on him. Gardner Minshew was a guy that, was available. And so they needed a backup quarterback with Flacco gone to the Jets. So that filled a role. I don't feel like he feels threatened by any of it. But I think that no matter what they did, Derek, be honest with you, if they went out and drafted, like Rob suggested, if they drafted a quarterback, I think he'd go compete with them. I just think there's a lot of guys, obviously we've seen it already. Baker Mayfield, we've seen guys that Carson Wentz. I mean, guys don't want to be challenged. I think this guy is open to a challenge. And I really, regardless of the situation, that guy's just wired a little bit different than most of the other people at that position.
Hey, Baldy, that said, what are you prioritizing? If you're sitting there with the 2 first-rounders they have now after they made that trade, if you're the Eagles, knowing what you know from last year, what direction are you going and who's likely to be there to grab for them with that first pick?
Well, it's a really deep draft in edge rushers. I know that, they signed Hassan Reddick and, they're bringing Derek Barnett back and, they got, Fletcher on a 1-year deal. But to me, this would be a draft where, you'd want to go get one of these guys. I mean, you can slot them any way you want, but it's deep. It's probably 8 or 10 guys deep that I think can play. So I think that's probably going to go with one. It's not a deep draft for corners, and they need corners. So, is Derek Stingley a guy that might be there that they're willing to take a gamble on? Because it's a gamble. I mean, he's played 10 games over the last 2 years. Doesn't look like the same player that he was as a freshman at LSU, but all the talent is still there. You come back from the Liz Frank, he looks like he's completely healthy. I mean, that guy looks like he's a top 15 player to me. Mm-hmm. So those two positions are of need. I always believe, to be honest with you, Rob, that as much as they need a wide receiver, because I don't believe in Jalen Reagor, I don't think the team believes in Jalen. I don't think you could get anything for him. I just don't think, he's what you want if you're trying to build around Jalen Hurts and trying to build the right culture. But, receiver would be one of the last positions I would draft in the first round if I was building a team. I mean, they won a Super Bowl with Alshon Jeffrey. I mean, tell me who was there. Andy Reid never put a lot into the wide receiver position outside of a mistake in Freddie Mitchell and what he did with T.O. But, you can look around and go, okay, this is a good receiver draft. But is Alec Pierce as good as, Drake, as good as, London? I mean, you could say that he is. And so is that a second round pick? It's kind of hard to kind of slot these guys, to be honest with you. I mean, I know a lot of people have first round picks on some of these guys, but I think you get some of these guys in the second round, they could be just as good a player.
Yeah, you're looking at when I look at the linebacker position, and we all know the Eagles won't draft in the first round, but I mean, what if? Do you see Dean or the kid from Utah being a guy that's first round potential, Lloyd being first round guys, and could they come in and help? I mean, I think Lloyd is gifted enough to be an every down middle linebacker in this league. I think Dean's a little smaller, but you're dealing with smaller guys because everybody's playing 11 personnel now. Would you warrant them being a first pick for the Eagles or at 15 or 18?
Well, I think Devin Lloyd, is a top 15 pick. I don't believe the Eagles will use it on him, Barrett. But I there's a lot of versatility to him. He's not as explosive as Micah Parsons, but he's as you can move him around like Micah. I wouldn't put any of these cats in that category, but you do see the versatility. He just doesn't have the burst that Micah has, but nobody does. So, but Nakobe Dean is kind of he is undersized and short arms and a lot of things that you don't like, but he is 2 steps ahead of everybody getting to the ball.
That's right.
So I just don't see the Eagles doing that. I remember when Devin White was coming out 3 years ago, and I thought he was a game changer, and they didn't look at him like that. And Devin White's better than any of these guys. So
yeah, and he's a game changer now.
Yeah, but they didn't look at Devin White as being a game changer. So I think they'll continue on the same path that we've seen them on for a long time.
Baldy, what, go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, Baldy, if you were in the Eagles front office making the picks, not so much players, but what positions would you prioritize with those first 2 round picks?
Well, I would, I think they're really set at the offensive line. But I would always look at the offensive line. I would always draft guys because they got a guy in an offensive line coach. It's a proven develop. He's proven that he can develop players. Like that's the question that I would have about this staff at this point. And what I would say about previous staffs is they don't develop players very well. So, but I would prioritize, guys that can score touchdowns and guys that can stop teams from scoring touchdowns. And so that's your receivers, that's your corners, and that's your edge rushers. I mean, that's what I would really prioritize at this point. I would not look at a guy like Jalen Petrie out of Baylor at a safety position because I think that's a real position of need. But the Eagles have not drafted well at corner. They have gone to the free agent market to find their corners. And that's really all the secondary. I mean, it's been a big blind spot for this entire organization for a long, long time. They have not drafted well at those positions.
Why are you not in somebody's front office? I've always wanted to ask you this. Why are you not working in somebody's front office evaluating players for a team?
Because I enjoy my life, Connor. I enjoy my life, and you can't enjoy a life if you're, breaking down 800 prospects coming out. Like, you'd never have time to get out and go travel or have some fun.
Hey, I enjoy Petrie too, man. Petrie's a good player from Baylor. I mean, I watched him against Okie State or Oklahoma State. They don't like when you say Okie State. Oklahoma State, he's bald.
Well, he was a Matt Rule. He was a Matt Rule, player that he signed, and he's played all these different positions. He's played strong side linebacker, weak side linebacker. He's played, in the box safety the way Malcolm Jenkins played. He's a great tackler. I mean, he's just really versatile in what you can do with him.
Baldy, how far away are the Eagles? I mean, we saw a team last year that, to their credit, rebounded from a 4-win season. They got in the playoffs, but we all know It was a watered down schedule. You got an extra team in the postseason. How are we to look at this team going into the season right now? I grant it, we're ahead of the draft, and that could change things in a big way. But just how far away are they?
Well, I think they're a long ways away from where the Rams are, where the Packers are. I mean, those are the teams at where Tampa Bay is. I think they're a long ways away from those teams because those teams that I just mentioned all have a proven winning quarterback.
Yep.
All right. So that's the question mark, right, Rob? So is Jalen Hurts, can he get into that, not that tier? I mean, that tier is
elite
up there for, but is he in a middle tier where you can go win 10 games in a playoff game? That remains to be seen. So that's that. And then, defensively, they didn't look like they knew what they were doing for most of the games last year. They played Kansas City. Their safeties might as well have been in Citizens Bank Park where they were playing.
Yeah.
They were playing 9-man football. So, I didn't understand a lot of the game planning defensively of what they did. And I'm still not sure exactly who they are defensively. So, and then, once they, when they ran the ball 50 times against New Orleans, I felt like, okay, this is who they are. And then they immediately went away from it. And then you kind of hear some chatter about the owner saying you can't win football games that way, that you got to throw it in order to win. So it feels like that 9 wins was kind of a puff piece to me. And they don't look like they're a team that can scratch out 9 wins every year right now, unless they improve the overall talent level of it. And then if there's a real identity to what they want to do from a coaching staff.
Well, I'll ask you, can you win having that kind of offense where you run it, where it's kind of an old school, avoid mistakes? Can you win in the NFL in 2022 that way?
Well, Russell Wilson doesn't think so. And that's why he's not in Seattle. But, that's what Pete Carroll still is trying to do. That's what the Patriots in large part are still trying to do. Teams are still trying to do it that way. The metrics will tell you that, you better be throwing it 60 to 65% of the time. But then, do you have a guy that you can lean on? I mean, Tom Brady threw it 717 times last year, and so, that's where it's all going, Rob. And so, but, that's also with the guy, the best player that's ever played that position. So you might throw it 620 times with Jalen if he got the ball out on time and they had a really good core around him where he could do that. But, for much of the year, he was dropping back and just running and scrambling. And that's probably not a good formula right now to be a consistent winner in this league.
Hey, Baldy, from what you've seen of Jalen Hurts' mechanics in 2021, can he improve enough to take his game to the next level? I've said that I think he's a great athlete playing quarterback, but can he translate that into being an even better quarterback, or is his skill set such that it is what it is?
I believe, the answer is we've seen Josh Allen do it, because there was a lot of question marks around Josh Allen. Now, he went to California during, the pandemic and trained with, certain people out in LA, and his mechanics got better. And now he's as good as anybody in this business. I haven't seen Jalen do that, although he was told to go, work this off season with certain people, and we'll see how he looks, because he's got to throw the ball with better touch. He's got to be more accurate, and he's got to be able to beat you from the pocket better than he's doing. To say that he can't do it, I don't want to say that, but there's not many guys that have improved from where he's at right now to where Josh Allen is. Not many guys that have been able to do that in this league.
All right, Baldy. So I previewed this before you came on. You're known as the travel dog. We know there's always some exotic locales involved in the off season. You work so hard during the season. Where have we gone? We need a little review of where Baldy's been traveling. Baldy's travels.
I did. I was in Nassau. I was in certain areas of Costa Rica I haven't been to before. Nassau is a blue zone. They got a high percentage of their population that are 100 years or older. So I want to kind of experience that. I was in Hawaii. Did get it to the Big Island this year. The Big Island of Hawaii, was in Kona. Was diving with sharks and Pacific mantas. I am headed to Medellin, Colombia here in, I don't know, like about 2 weeks. So right after the draft. So I am going to go to, northern Portugal, sometime in mid-June. So there's some good spots that are left to be found out here, as with a little bit of time left this off season.
Favorite place you ever traveled?
Well, I mean, you could put me in the middle of Sicily. I'll be just fine. I could eat blood oranges for breakfast and.
Baldy, do you still close your voicemail with Bella Janat? What was? How did you used to close it? I'm trying to remember.
That's you got it, Rob. Yeah. Bella, have a great day.
See that?
Have a great day.
That's it.
See, Baldy, I don't understand. You got my start, man. You're the person that got me up in NFL fields. You walked me into the door and got me in there, man. But still, you haven't gotten me into the travel dog scene yet. So I'm still waiting for that to come.
Well, not everybody should be a travel dog. Like
we got to keep it real, Baldy.
We can be best friends, and we can do a lot of things together. Not everybody should, jump on a boat and go to Greece right now.
Hey, I honestly expected when Baldy came up, I expected him to be online with us with a machete in one hand, slapping down trees in the Colombia, in the Amazon rainforest.
Right.
He said he's going to Medellin, and I've seen too many narco movies, brother. I respect you. I ain't going to Medellin. I ain't going down there.
Hold on.
But have you ever put yourself, Baldy, in a situation where you get there, you're excited, all of a sudden you're like, I don't know if this was the best move for me right now, man.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those trips. You just got to exit stage right. I was in Thailand one time, and things weren't going real good. And next thing I knew, we were in Bali 2 days later.
Oh,
so it turned out to be a good little exit strategy.
Gotcha. Life can be inaudible sometimes. That's for sure.
Sometimes you got to do that, Rob.
That's it.
You got audible.
What he also wanted to say is, well, Barrett, you're married, man. So you can't live this life. Only the chosen few can live this life. That's
well, your bride. She might not. She might not approve of some of the things that might be going on in some of these places.
I loved how he eloquently and so delicately told Bear, "You ain't going nowhere on this planet with me."
You got to keep it real.
I love that.
Keep it real.
I got to use that. Baldy, can I use that?
Yeah, you can steal that. You can steal that, Gunner.
Baldy, listen, man. Thank you very much. Our first show, man. Sports Take. Nobody better to have on than you for not only the draft breakdown, the Eagles breakdown, but the travel stories. You are the best, man.
I appreciate that, Rob, and I wish you guys all the best of luck. Really, man.
Thank
you, bro.
Great, and three of the best personalities to ever do it in Philadelphia. I'm sure you're going to have a great audience. So, all the best. If you ever need me to come back, just we'll figure out this technology, Rob, and I'll come on back.
Baldy, thanks. Hey, Baldy, Bella Janat, man. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right.
You got it. That's right.
One of the best lines Baldy ever told me, I had him on my Gunner on One podcast during the football season. I said, Baldy, man, you got like 25 W-2s, bro. I said, man, what? He goes, D-Gun, I like cashing checks. I like cashing checks. I said, I got to use that's my new motto. I like cashing checks.
Love it. All right, so we got to cash a check right now. We'll step aside real quick. We come back. Man, you thought we were done with the Eagles talk? We're not done with the Eagles talk. You thought we're done with the Sixers talk? We're not done with the Sixers talk. We got a lot more to get. And I got to tell you guys, I have a conundrum. I have a sporting conundrum, which I'll tell you what conundrum means, and then I'll tell you what my issue is when we get back, because I'm very torn on this one, and I need your help. And I need our listeners' help and our viewers' help. Okay, so we'll be right back. He's Derek Gunn. He's Barrett Brooks. I'm Rob Ellis, and you are in the midst. You are immersed in Sports Take, JAKIB Media YouTube channel.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really, don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, go to left, fake a mom. Mama, go up, mama.
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. Sports Take. Barrett Brooks, D Gunn, Rob Ellis, JAKIB Media YouTube Network, and we're with you every single day, 12 to 3, Monday through Friday. We cannot wait. I got to tell you, we were like giddy school kids, man. The weeks leading up when we knew we were going to be doing the show, the excitement level for us. And that's what I love, the fact that we're fortunate enough, guys, to do something that gives you that kind of juice, that kind of passion. And I got to tell you, like, I had a hard time sleeping last night, man. I was like a kid on Christmas Eve. I'm serious, man. I am so excited for what, we're going to be able to do. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I think the audience is really going to respond and really like what's going on here.
It's way too simple, man. It's way too easy. When you got, three guys that, number one, respect each other. Number two, we generally like each other. You know what I'm saying? Yes. We generally are around each other when we don't have to be. We used to be Derek's work friend. Well, I'm actually really a friend of him now. So he may not admit it.
What?
But yeah, I can call his family members and he can call my family members and it'd be okay. So yeah, it is what it is. And I respect them enough that I respect both of their wives. So I'm scared to death of them, but hey, other than that, everything's cool.
True. Very true. All right. So I got to hit you. And by the way, we're going to have Brandon Graham with us tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
So you want to be locked in. We're going to have some killer.
So Brandon Graham and Trent Cole.
So you
30, baby.
Yeah, man. You want to talk about a guy who I don't think gets enough love in Eagles lore for a hell of a career. In Trent Cole. Trent Cole was a phenomenal. And another guy who was a great late round draft pick.
Exactly. Yeah.
He was a fifth. He was a fifth rounder, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's a long line of the Cincinnati guys that have come through here and broke the door down.
The Eagles have crushed Cincinnati, man. They do well with Cincinnati guys, man. That's for sure. And by the way, speaking of crush, we want you to smash that like button if you're enjoying the show. Smash that bad boy.
Yeah, right, use that oversized nail that Rob Ellis showed us earlier. It looked like a blow dart from one of those blow guns. Scoop.
Can you imagine? I had that jammed in the wall behind me, man.
How's that
I don't know how my
possible,
house
dude?
didn't fall down.
You didn't hit a pipe? You didn't hit a water pipe or something?
Right.
Let me tell you something.
Electricity line or something?
You don't want me doing. All I do is make things worse. Like I have a plumber friend who is a buddy I grew up with. He's my plumber. He tells everybody he knows that I put his kids through college. Like I make things. I'll give you two quick stories. So one, we had this old screw that was kind of rust on that I couldn't get off that was holding the toilet seat on the toilet, right? Porcelain toilet. I have a hammer out. I have something that resembles this. I got this out and I'm trying to chip this thing to loosen it up on the porcelain. So my wife walks in and sees me doing that. Okay. And she says, "What are you doing? You're gonna miss and hit the toilet seat, and it's all hell's gonna break loose." I'm like, "I got this. Don't worry about it." She's like, "All right." She leaves. Don't you know? 2 seconds later, I miss, crack. The toilet seat breaks. I don't have the water shut off. Water's everywhere. It's a total disaster. That's one time. Another time, my son and I are playing lacrosse in the house in the basement, right where my studio is, and we're throwing it around. And there's a little. I got a half bath here with with the toilet and the sink. He throws one to me. I miss it. It bounces into the bathroom, and then we don't hear it bouncing. I'm like, what the heck happened? The ball's jammed in the toilet. It's jammed in the toilet. My buddy Ed, my plumber, comes over. He's like, "I've never seen this. I've seen everything. I've never seen this. Like, you are unbelievable." But there you go. So there's my, just to give you some of the prowess. Gunner's making faces. I know,
bro. We used to be on a show, man. First of all, we had to be at work. Brothers Abroad, it was from 6 to 8.
Yeah,
and we'd be at the show, and he'd be sitting at his desk like this. I'm like, "Dude, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Why are you sitting like that, man?" "My freaking bathroom again, man." I'm like, "What now, bro? What now?"
And Barrett's the opposite because he's the most handy. Derek, you're pretty handy too. Barrett's crazy.
Not like Barrett though, man.
Barrett can put together like car engines and build boats and build decks and motorcycles. Like he is the bizarro world me. He's the opposite of me. It's unbelievable.
I enjoy doing it, and you don't need to touch that type of stuff.
Hey, Rob, just to give you a heads up, bro. With the toilet situation, just use thinner toilet paper, man. That's all you gotta do. Stop trying to use that plushy stuff.
No double ply. No double ply, man.
You gotta stop that. Hey, look, I'm about to bar my wife from watching the show already. First show,
happened?
107. She sends me a text. She goes, "So far, I've been watching, and it's been green eggs and ham and fishing. I thought it was a sports show."
Yeah, you have to block her, Derek. Block her.
I mean, you've been watching for 5-10 minutes. All of a sudden, that's you forming me opinion based. She didn't see the guests we have on.
No.
She didn't see the hot topics we've been talking. When we're done, we're gonna have a nice discussion. Hun, you're only allowed to watch the show certain times of the week. That's it. You can't just watch.
I usually get. Are you wearing that? Is that what you're gonna wear? Like that's.
I haven't got that yet.
Yeah, that's coming. All right, I got to ask you guys about this. So I have this conundrum, right? This issue. So I don't know how much you guys, with it being Easter and happy, post Easter, Passover, Ramadan, whatever anybody celebrates. I hope you had a great day with your family yesterday. But I'm watching, and I was juggling that, and I'm on the air at WIP, so kind of both. But the Celtics and the Nets series, right? And it turns out to be an unbelievable game. The Celtics went on buzzer beater. It was an insane play, just a great play.
Yep.
But being a born and bred Celtic hater as a Philadelphian, they're right there with the Cowboys for me. Okay, the Celtics are. But I loathe the Nets and Ben Simmons and Kyrie. I don't know what to do in this series. I don't know who to root for.
Right.
Like, I honestly, if I root for either, I need to take a shower. Like, it makes me sick. So what do I do here with this series, man?
Dude, that's one thing you can't, man, because you don't want – and Ben's still not playing, man, and Kyrie thinks that the world is flat, and you got the best player playing basketball right now. I mean, it's KD. It's just a perfect storm, a perfect mix to make your life hell, man. That's
it really is. And dude, I got to sit there and look at it. Ben Simmons, the sunglasses on, or his lamb outfit that he had on the other day. And now they're saying he's going to come back and play in Game 4 and Game 5. How are they going to incorporate that guy into the middle of a series like this and think that's going to work?
More power to him. Let him. It'll get him bounce him out earlier.
Here's the thing: before the playoffs began, and when we knew the matchups, and first and foremost, we are focused in on the 76ers.
Yeah.
But when that series was finalized between Boston and Brooklyn, I said to myself immediately, that's the series I want to watch the most.
I know.
Because that first game was the epitome of what I expect the entire series to win. I don't care who wins the series.
Right.
But I expect every game, when you guys, both of those teams have assassins, flat out assassins on both teams. And what Jason, for the Celtics to move the ball around the way they did the final seconds, and Jason Tatum on that spin move, boom. And when he first hit it in live action, I'm thinking, he didn't get the ball off in time. Brooklyn's going to get the win. Then you go back and see the slow-mo. Wow. Hold up, man. Hold up. Look,
Trish Gunn checking in.
Look, we're gonna have our own personal game of Family Feud when I'm done on this show.
So for folks who can't see this, right, who are just listening to us,
right?
Trish Gunn, the lovely Mrs. Gunn, Derek's wife, beautiful wife. You outkicked your coverage. We all know that.
I did, man. I tricked her, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
No doubt. So she says, yes, I want to hear about draft picks. She's tired of your shenanigans, Derek.
She couldn't tell you one player coming out of the draft this year.
Xander, take that down. We got it. Yeah, thank you, brother. How about that? How about Trish Gunn getting involved? I love it.
Birdman 990 says, let's get Trish on the show instead of D Gunn.
Amen.
Come on, man.
Amen. We're getting a lot of that.
Wow.
A lot of the reaction is that
messed up.
Joey B, all our friends, they want more Trish Gunn, more Trish than Derek. Yes,
that's messed up.
It's not right, man. And I don't even know what your point was. As soon as I saw her jump in on that, I'm like, we got to go with that. We got to go with that, man. Unbelievable. All right, so let's do this, guys. We were just talking about the Nets and the Celtics and what that series is going to be. Look, the good news is one of those teams is going to be eliminated, right? It's one of those teams Sixers may not have to face. They're likely going to get the Heat next, barring some kind of episode. I think the Heat are just going to roll right through that series.
I do too.
I don't know about you guys, but we come back. We're going to jump back into the Sixers a little bit because we touched on game one, what to expect game two, and we got to get a little bit more into Tyrese Maxey, and because to me, he's the anti-Ben Simmons. Yes. He's a joy to watch. He's a guy who works his ass off, is fun to watch, and is having fun. He's not
always
just this
smiling.
Yes.
Right.
Mr. Serious, having no fun kind of guy. So we'll do that when we get back. Who knows? Who knows whose wife is going to be chiming in at this point? You never quite know what's going to happen. So don't go anywhere. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks. I'm Rob Ellis. You're watching Sports Take. Smash that like button. Tell a friend, baby. JAKIB Media YouTube channel.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake 'em out. Mama, go up.
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Welcome back. Yes.
I want my old tune back, man. Give me my old tune back.
We gotta get some better music on this show, man.
Look, your son's a producer, isn't he, Gunner? He's a
he's working on something, and the producer for my Gun on One podcast, Elvin Shabazian, who's also a big time music producer. He's working on some music as well. But you know, Xander, of course, Xander Krause produces our show. I love you, Xander.
Excuse me.
Big Z.
What?
We got to go back. All Philly fans to my house. Free barbecue.
Yes.
Who said that?
What do you mean? Who said that?
Hold up. Who said that?
Trish Gunn
said that.
What?
Yes.
Hold on, man. I
There
gotta
you
get
go.
up. Where?
There it is.
Wait, I don't see it. Where?
It's up there.
Hold on.
All Philly fans to my house. Free barbecue from Trish Gunn. Trish Gunn has spoken. Guess what, Barrett?
Hold up, man.
At 3 o'clock, I'm hopping in the car and I'm ready for some ribs.
Me too.
No, look here. Let me tell you something.
Thank you.
Barrett knows, and I will tell you this. When it comes to work and play, it's like church and state. I keep the two separate. So, you know.
You better tell Mr. that.
Trish must tapped into a money source I don't know something about, because look, I'm struggling buying meat to feed my own family. She talking about feeding the whole fan base.
Bro, one time I backdoored him and went to his family and said, look, I wanted to come by because they were having an event at their house.
Right.
And I backdoored him and I just showed up at the house.
Yeah, man.
Me and my daughter. I just showed up. He said, whoa.
Smart move.
What are you doing?
I like the daughter. I don't care too much for him, but
so we're sitting in there, right? We're and everybody's having a great time. It's like 80 people in this house.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sitting in the middle of the kitchen, and my daughter's standing next to me. I said, "Watch this." I said, "No, Derek, I'm not leaving. Why are you kicking me and my daughter out?"
Oh.
And both his wife and his daughter look at. Did you just say that, Derek's?
See how he lied on me?
Yeah, that's not cool. That is not. Yeah, that's
what I mean, bro. See?
Derek, that's why he hasn't been back to the house after that kind of move.
You're not coming back. You're not allowed back
right.
in the house. You can't after that. But I thought to myself, Rob, I said, you know what? That was a slick move by Bear, because that's something I would have pulled on him if I was at his house. So
you're right.
I had to give him kudos, man. He got me. He got me that time.
Oh, Trish came up to him. You did not say that. You did not try to kick him out the house, did you?
I'm like, no, I ain't telling him that. You know.
Oh man! All right, so listen, we the first 2 hours have flown by, man, and we're rolling into the final hour. So I think a little bit later in the show, Xander's going to kind of get us straight here on some of the things that we have screwed up. That's for sure. We're going to be getting into that. That's for sure. But tomorrow, as I mentioned, we're going to have Brandon Graham. We've already had Tom McCarthy a little bit earlier to talk some Phillies, and we just wrapped up with Brian Baldinger, which was an absolute blast as well. We're going to be bringing you that kind of firepower every single day. That's for sure. We're going to hit everything that's big in the world of sports, Philadelphia sports and beyond, and have a little fun while we do it. That's for sure. And again, you guys have been awesome. What a great job. I got to commend all of our viewers and listeners today. The comment section has been straight and fuego today, okay, on fire with people, and people just having fun. And that's what it's all about, just breaking stones and having a good time with each other. So that's what we'll do each and every day. But yeah, we were talking about the Sixers earlier. We got a playoff game. We're lucky. Barrett and I did a show called Breakfast on Broad during a time that was maybe the worst in the history of Philadelphia sports.
Right.
Derek,
wow.
This time period, it was like the 15, 16. So you had the Sixers in the beginning of the process, right?
They stunk.
You had the Phillies who were coming off of that run from 07 to 11 and were like tailspin.
They stunk.
Okay? Terrible, right? Flyers.
They just fired
Charlie.
And then
Pete McCannon was the yawn time. Okay,
Right,
let's be real. The Flyers were just just nothing special, not bad like they are now, but just kind of irrelevant. And it was the end of the Chip Kelly year. It was the year. It was literally Chip's. The year he got fired was 15. So Chip got canned, and we're ripping our hair out every day. Like, man, what are we going to talk about today? There is nothing to talk about today. So we're very fortunate in that we're starting our show 10 days before the draft. Sixers in the playoffs. Phillies, I know it's 4-6 start, but I think the Phillies are going to be a fun, entertaining, good team, playoff team this year. There's a lot going on, man, and we're going to be hitting all of it, man. That's for sure.
And then you had a couple of people on that show where you couldn't talk certain sports with. I ain't saying no names, but I'm not saying any names. I just brought it up. You see how Barrett looked down real quick and like, oh Lord, D-Gun, don't say that. Don't say it, D-Gun. I'm just saying.
Man.
I'm just throwing it out there. So you guys right. Philadelphia sports was spiraling downward, and then you were kind of handcuffed in terms of what you could talk about.
It was a challenge. Look, but the bottom line is I think we're hitting this thing at a really good spot for sure in Philadelphia sports. So the Sixers are one of those reasons. And I look at this, and I mentioned Maxey. We've talked about him a lot, obviously, but there's something to be said. Yes, you want your guys to produce and be good players and all that. But the way this guy carries himself, like I describe him as a joy. He's a joy to watch. And he went from being in the bottom 3% of three-point shooting to the top 6% this year. That's nothing but straight work. This dude just works his rear end off to get better and better and better. He takes criticism. Embiid and the older players talk about how they can get on him at practice. Again, anti-Ben Simmons, who you can't even look at the wrong way, and he's done. Like, everything about this kid screams he's going to be a star because he just gets it.
Yep.
Well, I mean, and the relationship you have with the guys that you're working with, man, it means a lot, man, because it's hard working with people that you really can't stand or you really don't like or – you don't have any cohesiveness or chemistry with.
No,
when you're dealing with, especially in sports, where you got to be your brother's keeper, where you have to make sure you know exactly what this guy is doing. So because you can do your job and him not do his job, and it doesn't work. You both have to have this relationship that to make it flow right. And when you have a bad apple in a bunch, that one bad apple can make the whole bunch go sour. What I'm saying? It could rot the whole bunch. So you got to get that bad apple out. Once they got the bad apple out, things are starting to change now, and hopefully it's changing for the better. That bad apple that they have was almost cancerous, man, and that's the problem. I think he's starting up there now. He's starting to spread it up with the Nets. So I'm glad he's not here. I hope he gets the help he needs because, man, it's got to be a draining type of atmosphere, always being the guy that's the bad apple, man.
When I look at Maxey, the kid has such great acceleration off the dribble, and he maintains his body control. When you look at some of those floating type shots that he hits, going across the lane, falling away from the basket, and I think he has one of the best soft touches off the window that I've seen from any player playing in the game today. Right. I mean, he utilizes every aspect of his body and the game. And then you go back to game one, and you heard him say, well, he drew a charge on a player, and he said, I wasn't trying to fall down. It just happened. I just lost my balance. The kid's just out there having fun, man. He's playing at a high level. When you're smiling all the time, scoring 38 points. You know how demeaning that is to the opposition? When you're out there you're busting the cords every time you put up the ball, whether inside, outside, off the dribble, whatever the case may be, and you're constantly smiling, you're having fun with it, man. That's players a lot of times won't admit it, but that's demoralizing to your opponent, man. But I just love watching the kid's energy, the way he plays this game, man. And I hope it carries through for as long as the Sixers are in the playoffs.
Well, he's the type that he didn't want that game to end. I mean, I've had a couple of games like that, during my football career that You know, I just didn't want the game to end. I'm just totally dominating this guy, and there's nothing he can do about it. Everything I'm using is working. Well, that's the way he felt the other day. Everything he threw up was going in. So, I mean, I don't expect that. But like I said, you know, just a little bit, you know, and I remember I texted one of my boys. I said, look, if I can get 32 out of Harris and you know, and Maxey, I think we'll have an easy, you know, it'll be an easy time going into this, you know, this playoffs. So I just get 32 out of those two, we'll be good to go. Well, he got me 38 on his own.
Unbelievable. And that's the thing. Do I think he can get 38 again? No, but can he get 25 for sure?
Absolutely.
And do I think Embiid can go from 19 to 30 easily? So you make those, you know, those 10, 12, whatever it is, points up. Barry, you bring a good point. I thought Harris played about as well as he can play. I mean, he gave you a great all-around game. He had 6 rebounds, 6 assists to go with those 25 points. He was efficient from the floor. I mean, that's the thing. If Maxey, and I think he's there now, and if Harden can continue to look good, you have the big three with those guys. Then you throw Harris playing the way he's playing. I mean, this is just what the doctor ordered for this team to make a run. Because, look, I think ultimately Toronto is going to give him a tight game tonight. And I think the Sixers win it probably in 6. I think it's going to be a little closer than maybe some people think. But ultimately, you're going to have to deal with either, in my opinion, Miami or Boston or Brooklyn. And if you do, you need all of those guys clicking, man.
You definitely do. Give me your assessment on Doc, though, in his playoffs.
I'm not a big Doc fan. Like, I'll give him this. I think they were very prepared for Saturday's game. I give him props. And I think having a week to where they could really just practice with Harden, where it wasn't just rushed like it had been after the trade, I think it helped them. But I'm sorry, man. The jury's out too much for me with Doc. He won it in Boston when he had 3 Hall of Famers, when he had Ray Allen and Garnett and Pierce. Beyond that, it's been a lot of disappointments and falling apart in the playoffs. So he's got to prove it to me. Like, I think if I have to go one-on-one with Nick Nurse and Doc, I'd probably take Nick Nurse. I think Doc's got more talent, but I'm still concerned about Doc, keeping it real.
Let me ask you this. If Doc, let's say Doc bows out after the second round again, does he keep his job or lose his job?
There's a lot of talk, Derek, that he wants to go to LA, that he may go to LA. I shouldn't say once, that he may go to LA with the Lakers. Maybe that's his escape route. Maybe he and the team, because the team still owes him a lot of money. Maybe they say, all right, man, you want to go? We'll let you go. Get us off the hook of this contract.
Yeah.
If they don't get beyond the second round, I don't know. I don't know how you don't make significant changes. You know, the other part of this is, if Harden has a really big playoff, that changes. But if Harden struggles here the rest of the way, do you re-sign him? Do you give him $40-50 million a year for 3-4 years?
Has he deserved that though?
No.
I mean, that's the problem. What happened to the Harden that, you know, that we saw? I mean, even last year, you know, I understand, just like you guys were saying, you know, it's a hamstring. Maybe that's the case, but I just don't see that same drive. You know what I'm saying? The same drive that he had. You can be hampered, but still have that killer instinct. I don't see the killer instinct, you know, that I used to see in him, like even last year. You know, what's going on with him? You know, why is he playing like this?
You know what I think? I think it's 2 things, Derek. Sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
My sense is it's 2 things with him. 1, he doesn't have the same burst, whether it's the hamstring or it's just age. And 2, he's not getting the calls because the league has cracked down on that. He's not getting the calls he used to get in his career. And I think those 2 things have really affected him going to the basket. And therefore, teams aren't honoring him going to the rack. And he has a hard time getting that sort of step back 3 off like he used to.
Mm-hmm. I would say it's a combination of the age and the injury factor and the fact that, you know, James Harden has never been one of these catch and shoot type shooters like a lot of these sharp shooters are nowadays. He's not a catch. He's got to have that step back 3. You know, when he and you know, and a lot of players defending him a little bit differently. So he's not getting those free looks like he used to get now. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a combination of it. But you're right. Moving forward, you know, the Sixers have some serious decisions to make when it pertains to James Harden after the season, because are you going to invest in him? That hamstring could be a problem next season, beyond this season. You know, Barrett, as you know, when you get those type of injuries, man, they don't just go away, especially when you become an older player. They don't just go away. You know, you can rest, rehab, massage, heat therapy, whatever the case may be. But the older you get, it's your body changes with time, man. And so the Sixers are going to have to decide, is he in the best interest for us in the long run? He has been, up to this point, he's been a great mentor to Tyrese Maxey, and he could be a great mentor to younger players as well in terms of how to get your body ready, how to keep your mind right, especially not just for the regular season, but for the second season as well. But is he worth the money he could command at this stage of his career? We're going to find out. We're going to find that out soon enough. After the season is over.
Yeah, and the other issue you have is you don't want to constantly have this turnover around Embiid. Like every single year, they traded for Jimmy Butler, and then we just on and on and on. Eventually, you got to just grow this thing and have continuity. Look, there's nothing they could do about the Simmons thing. It was just destructive, and you had to get him out of there. Okay,
right?
There's no doubt, but you don't want to have the turnover every year. You want to be able to have these guys get in place and kind of just grow together. And that's the thing I'm hesitant about. I don't want to give Harden that kind of money, but I also don't want to constantly have this revolving door, next to Joel Embiid every single year.
Well, I mean, Harris is still on that max contract, man. So we don't know if he's going to be back next year.
Yes.
That means maybe they trade him off the books. I just see this team as, I just keep it the way it is. And Harden's, Harden's not a fool. He know what he commands out in the open market. But does he want to be around somebody other than the guys that he has there right now? I really think he likes it here. He wants to be here. And I think he'll give him a hometown discount going into next year. Now, do they want him? I think so. Just another year under his belt, making that money. I mean, he's made all the money in the world. I think he's at a point in his career where he wants to win. He really wants to win. He wants to take it to the next level. And he knows with Embiid and Maxey, he can definitely do that. So I think that kind of changes how they look at this season, how he looks at the season, and how he goes about doing his business going forward. I mean, hell, he loves City Line Avenue. He loves going out there. You know what I'm saying? He loves, that nightlife. I mean, Philly's a great nightlife place. Yeah. Maybe that's what keeps him here.
Well, I think he also doesn't want to be that guy that, look, let's face it. He forced his way out of Houston. He forced his way out of Brooklyn. It's like, how many times can you pull this?
Right. Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, also, when you look at the better teams that are in the playoffs right now, the biggest key for them has been they have a core group of guys who were with them last year who went through the wars of the playoffs. And you're right, Rob, you can't keep changing the personnel around Joel. I mean, obviously, he's the centerpiece of this organization. Hopefully, he will be for many years to come. But you have, a young player like a Tyrese Maxey. You need to keep a core group of guys together. Sprinkle in some other elements as well, no doubt about that, because nothing stays the same forever. But keep that core group of guys together. Whether they go all the way this year or not, you at least want to know if you have X amount of players that have been with you the last couple of seasons through the playoff wars, the probability of you getting back and hopefully going deeper enhances with that core group of players.
Well, let me ask both of you guys. Look, if I'm keeping, we that's what we do here. We're going to keep it real. I don't think they're good enough to get past Miami. I'm really concerned. Look, Boston was the best team in the NBA, arguably maybe with minus the Suns, over the last 2 months of the season. And they play the best defense in the NBA.
Right.
I as excited as I am, and again, I think the Sixers played about as well as they can play in that game one. They were awesome.
Well, that's what it's about.
I don't think they have enough to get past either Miami or Boston, or I think Brooklyn could go anyway, but ultimately to get to the finals. That's just where I stand with this.
I think differently, man. I think they're getting that first game kind of molded them what they need to be. They see the potential that they can have, and from this point on, even with them lacking offensive output from Joel, somebody else is stepping up, and that's kind of what you need when you go into the playoffs. And we know we can get it. We know we can get 35 from Embiid at any time. And for somebody else to step up and not have all the pressure on him is exactly what the doctor ordered. So as they go forward, I think that chemistry gets better. Are there better teams? Yes, there are. But if we can legitimately get those four guys playing, halfway decent, man, this could mean they could surprise us this year. Just like the Eagles did in 2017. We didn't know that team was going to be that good. The ball bounced their way, and that's what happens. But this Sixers team is a lot better than what we thought it was going to be great with the addition of Harden. But come on now. Do we think it's going to be as great as it is right now? We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, look, you like we said, if you get somewhere near peak Harden with Embiid and with the way Maxi's playing, then I think he can beat anybody. I truly believe that that's the case. I mean, ultimately, I think Harden's going to be the key to this whole thing. The one thing to his credit, as much as he may not be the same guy scoring, he's still a really good passer and gets guys in really good position. I mean, the play of the game is that bounce pass ahead to Maxi where he finishes under the rim. That was insane.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still a really good distributor. So even if his offensive game is shooting isn't necessarily clicking, he still helps you in a lot of ways.
I want him to shoot though, man. I didn't bring him here I didn't bring him to be, I trade me 10 of those assists in for points, man. Because I need him to shoot more, become a shooting guard. Go to the 2, man. Play the 2. Forget being a passer. I need that, man. I mean, I got guys that can pass the ball. I need his offensive production at this point.
Gunnar, what's your sense here?
I think there's so much balance in the East that it's a coin flip on whoever gets hot at any given moment could be the team that's standing tall. And when the Eastern Conference playoffs are all said and done, but when you look at personnel and matchups, I just think Boston and Miami are going to be huge stumbling blocks for the 76ers team. Now, we know Milwaukee is the defending champion, but Milwaukee's game, Milwaukee doesn't have that killer instinct to put teams away. Right. They build up these big leads and they let teams back in. Milwaukee's good at winning a lot of close games, but I think Milwaukee, caught that lightning in a bottle last year. Everything you go back to when, Durant's foot was on the line in that deciding 7th game, and you thought it was a 3-pointer for the win, and by the smallest margin of his toe, it turned out to be the 2. And Bucks, hit their shots in overtime and then went on. And then, of course, they down 0-2 to Phoenix, and they come back and win 4 straight. I think Boston and Miami, their depth, their versatility, their ability to get out on the break. They've got marksmen all over the place. You can't just hone in on one guy. They can play it inside, outside, however you want to play it. I just think that might be just a little bit too much for the 76ers to overcome. That's not a knock against the 76ers. I just don't think this is their time right now. I think Boston or Miami emerges from the East.
All right, so let's just deal with this series here, and I want to get a little Phillies in because we're going to close strong with the Eagles. But this series itself, how far does it go with the Raptors, Barrett?
I think it goes 5. I think they'll win 1 at home just because Thibault won't be there, but then I think they'll adjust Thibault not being there, and then they'll win that next game there and then close it out when they come back home.
How about you, Derek?
I believe 6 games, and I know Toronto's hurting right now, with an injury factor. But I just think, as I said off the top of the show, I think they're some of the best, one of the best teams in the game in terms of making adjustments. And I think Nick Nurse is a good enough coach. They're going to make adjustments, personnel adjustments, matchup adjustments. It's going to be a little bit closer series than it should be. 76ers should emerge from this series. But I think Toronto's going to get at least 2 games out of this series.
I think so, too. I think it goes – ultimately, it goes 6. I think the key tonight is going to be how it's officiated. If you're calling ticky-tack stuff on Embiid early and he gets in foul trouble, that's how Toronto stays in this thing. I'm going to be fascinated to see if Nurse is running as many double and triple teams at Embiid as he did in the first game. Because Embiid responded really well, just recognizing it and kicking it out. Because he's got to do something different. I mean, or he just says, hey, I don't think Maxi's going to do what he did. I don't think Harris is going to do what he did, whatever. And I'll keep doing the same thing. But he's too good a coach to kind of just stay pat. I think he makes some changes. I agree
with you 100%.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. All right, I want to sneak a little Phillies in before we take a timeout and switch it back to the Birds here. But we had Tom McCarthy on a little bit earlier, and if you didn't get a chance to catch that, you can certainly watch the show, in bits and pieces, entirety at any time. YouTube, JAKIB Media Network, of course, Sports Take is just do a little search. But we were talking about the Phillies in the start. Joe Girardi's an interesting case here. He's in the last year of his deal, and Dave Dombrowski, who's the president of the team, did not hire him. He inherited him. And there's a lot of expectations. This team went over the luxury tax. When you put all of those things together with a team that's underachieving, inherited manager, okay, and big-time payroll, that spells lack of patience in my estimation. I'm not saying after 10 games, anybody's going to get fired. But what I'm telling you is if this looks like this into June, I think Joe Girardi could be firmly on a hot seat and could possibly be gone if it still looks like this.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're spending money over the cap. So he's assembled what your team is. He's assembled this type of team. You got to go with the strengths. I mean, you get the benefit of the doubt, that, all right, we didn't have enough last year. Well, I think they do have enough as far as offense. Now he has to be that manager, put his manager hat on and find a way to get some defense out here, man.
Mm-hmm.
Find a way to play better on the defensive side of the ball. Because at this point, man, you don't know what your third base is going to do, center field. I mean, everything is, up in the air. There's got to be some better decisions being made as far as who they're bringing in. Now, I know injuries is killing us. Moniak's out, Herrera, it happens, but I mean, you got to find a way, man. You get paid to find a way.
Yeah, no. And look, I know Colorado's off to a decent start, but Colorado's not a good team. You got to start putting together right now. I mean, what's been going on in Miami for years with this team? It's a total house of horrors. They're 14 they're 14-25 in Miami over the last 3-4 years. It's a disgrace.
Does it come from that shirt that they had, is it stemming back from then where they put the shirt, about, that kind of made fun of them. From that point on, they've been whooping our ass ever since then.
I don't know. But it's such a dead atmosphere in that ballpark. I've been there. We went there a few years ago. It's like you're in some like luxury mall. Like you don't feel like you're in a baseball ballpark, and it's dead, but you got to overcome that stuff. And that, I think they almost play down to that dead atmosphere, and that can't happen.
I think it was Ricky. Wasn't it Ricky that said
Ricky Bo?
Yeah, Ricky Bo did it. About, call them something, and from that point on, they've been kicking our tail ever since then, man.
Yeah.
That has been one of the most fascinating things to me in all of sports history, is that when you look at teams, I don't care how good the teams are, they always have that one team that's their kryptonite.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what sport it is, it's always the case. And for years, the Marlins have been the Phillies' kryptonite. So for whatever the case may be, no matter how bad the Marlins are, they play like they're playing a World Series against the Phillies. It's to me, it's the most flabbergasting thing known to mankind. And I look at the way the Marlins took it to them this past weekend, and I'm thinking, we don't know them. It seems like every 5 to 6 years, though, the Marlins rise up, and all of a sudden, all these kids that they bring up for the farm system turn them into contenders.
Yeah.
It happens like every they get up there 1 year, then they go back down for the next 4 years, and back up that fifth. It's unbelievable. Now we don't know if the Marlins are that good or just the Phillies are just that mediocre right now. And they haven't caught their strong suit yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Phillies with that lineup that they have, that especially offensively, they're going to start raking. They're going to start raking the ball when it starts getting warm in June, July, August, which is the heart of the season. But can the pitching deliver and bail them out? That remains to be seen.
I agree, Derek. I'm with you in that these guys are too good. Like the whole Schwarber, Castellanos, Harper, Real Muto, that group's too good not to hit. They will hit. But really what it comes down to me is Wheeler healthy? Why are you down 5 miles per hour in your fastball? Maybe like Tom McCarthy said, it was the lack of work in the spring. What is Aaron Nola? And we'll start finding that out again tonight when he pitches.
Absolutely.
That's the key to this whole thing.
What's Eflin, though? Eflin, he's back now.
And can he stay healthy? I like Eflin when he's healthy. And I think Suarez showed you last year he's the real deal. If those guys can pitch, this team will be in the playoffs because they've expanded the playoffs to the point where you should be able to get in. It's kind of like the Eagles last year. You should get in. Even if you're not a great team, you should still be able to get in. That's going to be fascinating.
What's going on with Sir Anthony Dominguez? I love that he's back, but I mean, I thought when he first got here, they projected him to be a starter. Is he just out of that role now, period?
Yeah, Barrett, I don't think I think he's strictly a bullpen guy at this point. And I don't know if he's had so many injuries over the years. Like I think he's still trying to figure out exactly who he is. But he's another one. Like if he looks so good before those injuries, but he's had some major ones. He could be a huge middle of the road, middle of the bullpen piece, setup guy, maybe potentially for Knievel kind of guy. So he's going to be big on this team. That's for sure. All right, we're going to step aside, man. Final timeout of the show. We're going to step aside. We're going to get back to the Eagles when we come back. I want to get into a couple things with you and whether they should just draft the entire Georgia defense, a lot of different things.
Yes.
The answer is yes. Yeah,
Yes.
we don't give it away, but we'll dive into that when we get back because there's a lot of different directions that they can go. That is for sure. Again, smash the like button. JAKIB Media YouTube channel. You got to check us out. Sports Take. He's Barrett Brooks. He's Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis. We're with you every single Monday through Friday, 12 to 3. We keep it rolling when we get back.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake 'em out. Mama go up, up, up.
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
On back, everybody. We are Sports Take. I am Rob Ellis along with D Gunn, Barrett Brooks, JAKIB Media YouTube Network each and every day, Monday through Friday, 12 to 3. Guys, I'm getting a lot of questions, and we're swinging it back to the Eagles here. As someone once famously said, "Let's get it back to the Eagles." That would be me. But and nobody gives me props for it. Anyway, not that I'm upset about it or better. But a lot of questions regarding Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, and how likely it is that he ends up being an Eagle. It feels like, and Gunner, tell me what you're hearing, but it feels like they're trying to slow play this, maybe low ball this, and it doesn't seem like there's a ton of other suitors who are willing to put up a lot of bank. Does he maybe end up back here by default? Or back here, not back, end up here by default?
There's a possibility. I don't think the Eagles want to pay a whole lot of money for a guy who's a proven commodity, but it has a significant injury history. You know, he's openly said he wants to go back home. I believe he's from Louisiana.
Yes.
So he wants to go back. He wants to go back home and play closer to home, which means, you know, I know the Saints have been looking at him also. I think it comes down to, at this stage of his career, what does Tyrann want to do? How much does he just want to play, compared to how much is he trying to get out of it? And I don't blame any player who's trying to get as much as they can while they can, because once that big money stops rolling in, that's it, you know. And hopefully, you've positioned yourself where you can transition into that next life and make significant income as well. But, we know the Eagles need some help on the back end of that defense. There's no question about it now that Rodney McLeod's moving on to Indianapolis. But they're gonna play this close to the vest. Howie is not going to pay big bucks for Tyrann Mathieu. That's not going to happen. So it's a sit, wait, and see in terms of exactly what the Eagles could possibly get him for and how much he really wants to come here. I mean, let's face it, this is a team that a lot of players out there still have a lot of question marks about. And it starts with the quarterback. And I hate to keep bringing that up, but it starts with the quarterback. Is this a legitimate playoff team? A lot of players, when they hit that 30, 31, 32-year-old plateau, yes, they want the money, but Barry, you can attest to this. They want to be able to put themselves in a position to get to the postseason and play on the big stage as well. How do players feel about coming in here with playing with a Jalen Hurts on a team that still has holes to fill? And obviously the Eagles didn't hit a lot of significant holes in the free agent market. Hassan Reddick was a great get, but they still need a lot more. So it's a sit back and wait. You know what? And whatever happens with Tyrann Mathieu, I'm not going to sweat it. If he comes here, fine. If he doesn't, fine. Eagles will draft somebody, or Howie will find somebody else sitting out there on the open market to fill that void.
At this point, you're right, man. It used to be that the Eagles organization was a destination point. People wanted to come here. But at this point, I don't see it. Even from the defensive side of the ball, Gannon just did not show a guy like Tyrann Mathieu that he would be used in the right way.
True.
And that'll be that's only Gannon's fault because, well, not necessarily the athletes that he had. I thought he had the athletes here to be a more aggressive defense. Say what you want to say. The pass rushing wasn't that good, but you did have some corners that can go out there and play man-to-man or play tighter than they did. And your defense takes on who you are as a defensive coordinator. He played soft against, called soft games against good quarterbacks. A guy like Tyrann is never going to play soft. He's going to play, up pace. He's going to play aggressive his entire time here if he did come here. So he would have to change. Gannon has to change who he is as a coach, a play caller, before he's going to, woo into these guys in here that want to win. He's got to be more aggressive.
And that's something I just don't get. Like, Gannon was a very hot commodity in the offseason in terms of interviews. And I know ultimately he didn't land anywhere, but it felt like he was a guy who was close. And look, I know we kind of eat our own sometimes, and when you're in the eye of the storm, you're hypercritical of things. But we watched enough of him defensively. I know they didn't give a ton of points up ultimately at the end of the year, but I don't get it. I'm sorry. I didn't see anything that made me think, wow, this guy's going to be really, really on the hot list for most teams. How does that kind of thing happen?
I don't know. I mean, in fact, he was more of a, just to tell you the truth, he was more of a hot commodity as a head coach than even Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni wasn't on anybody's radar, but Gannon was on people's radar. Gannon, there have been some, rumblings about him, even during the, process before Nick Sirianni.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand how he got all these interviews because I thought his coaching style just wasn't aggressive enough as a play caller. So, I mean, I didn't understand it. I don't know where it came from. So, I just don't know. But I will say this. When you look at a guy like Tyrann Mathieu, he's won a ring before. He's got a ring. Mm-hmm. So now he's paper chasing now. Or he wants to go home and be closer to his family.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that really going to, be a deciding factor for him. All right, I'll take less money for the hometown discount.
Right.
Or I'll take more money if the Eagles, pony up. Well, we know the Eagles aren't ponying up. So me thinking that Tyrann Mathieu was going to be here,
no,
it just wasn't something that I really
unless nobody else steps up, Barrett, with any kind of even decent.
Right.
That's why I almost Gunner. That's why I termed it like by default almost.
Right.
Nobody else, it appears, is jumping at him right now.
See to jump on your topic about Gannon being a hot commodity. I don't think he was a hot commodity for a head coaching job, because if he was, he would have gotten one. What were there, 9 jobs open? I think a lot of the interviews he's getting is because of his friendships out there and the relationships that he's made across the league. See, I think there's a big difference in terms of, hey, we'll talk to you just to let you get it on your resume, to go through the process to see what the process is. So it helps you down the road. Now, if you improve this year with the Eagles defense, they're going to be even more of a hotter commodity in 2023. But right now, we'll give you the interview as a gratuity just to see, how it goes. But I don't really think he was a serious contender this offseason for any head coaching job.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right, so let's look at this because we haven't had a chance to talk about this. So right now, the Eagles sit at 15, 18, 51, 83, 101. That's what we're looking at for rounds 1 through 3. Okay, so let's focus on 15 and 18. I want to start with this because they made the trade with the Saints where they gave up one of their first rounders, but they end up getting a first rounder in 23, a second rounder in 24, a third rounder, et cetera, et cetera. A, did you guys like that trade? B, how do you think it sets up for now? Let's start with liking the trade, Barrett.
I like the trade, but I don't think I know how he, loves the draft capital, but I'm tired now of draft capital. I need tangible assets. Give me players instead of draft picks.
Right.
And that's where I am right now. I mean, I understand next year, but it can't be a shoulda, coulda, woulda year. It's one of those things where you want to get this franchise better. You made the decision not to bring in Watson. Okay, we moved on from that. But you haven't done anything else in free agency that would garner that you're really trying to win next year. Are they really trying to win, or are they just stacking for the next couple of years? That's where I'm having a problem with. Forget the draft picks. Bring me in athletes that can play. No quarterback, even if they were going to try to trade for a quarterback or draft a quarterback, they don't have enough weapons to even want anybody to come here.
You would have rather, if they're going to trade that pick, get a player that can step in right now than something down the line for the future.
Absolutely, because you can't make an accurate assessment on how much better did Jalen Hurts got because you didn't really go out and get enough to fill the barn up. They don't have enough to fill the barn. They didn't have enough explosiveness at the wide receiver position to say, all right, then this guy can throw or he can't throw. We don't have enough there.
Well, I think that's there.
I will tell you this. I will tell you this. The Eagles were very interested in a number of players this offseason, but who could have predicted Christian Kirk is going to get over $70-80 million that he got? There's no way they could have come close to what both Green Bay and the Raiders were going to give a Devontae Adams. $42 million? Are you kidding me? These receivers now are getting quarterback money across the National Football League. The Eagles are not going to pay that kind of money.
Yeah.
Or should they? They have too many other needs. The Eagles were simply outbid. There were too many teams out there that had more cap space than the Eagles did. And basically, they just got outbid by some of the prominent players. And I know it frustrated the fan base, but it was just one of those years that Howie just didn't have the monopoly money to play with in a lot of cases. And so here we sit, wait to see what he's going to do with the draft, wait to see how many of these lower tier money free agents they try to pick off now to fill out their roster to try to make it just that much better.
Well, I think both of these things can be true. Like, I agree with you guys. Jalen Hurts doesn't have nearly enough weapons as we sit right now. Not even close, right? But I wouldn't have given Christian Kirk that kind of money. And some of these other guys got ridiculous money, and I think they're bad contracts for okay receivers. He's not a bad receiver. He's not special, and he got special money.
No.
He was the number 3 receiver. He was the number 3 receiver there.
Like he's okay. He's a guy. He's not special. Right, I wouldn't have given him that kind of money. I'm okay with that.
And that's why you see all these guys like Brown and all those other guys bitching right now because they potentially could get the same money, but they're not getting paid right now. That's why they try to trade themselves out of there.
Yeah, so
there's a lot of money, man.
There's 3 guys specifically right now. And ironically enough, I think they were all second-round picks. You have Deebo Samuel, who we know is the ultimate utility knife, can do everything at a phenomenal level. You have A.J. Brown in Tennessee, who probably doesn't get the kind of love that he deserves just because he's playing with Tannehill and he's down there. We don't notice him as much. And Terry McLaurin, who we've seen a lot in Washington, up close and personal. Those 3 guys are not going to report to any kind of off-season stuff until if and when they get new deals or this thing really comes to a head where the fines start kicking in. So with all this capital that they have, all the stuff I just reeled off here, should you make a run at any of those guys?
We want explosiveness. We need guys in the meeting room that can play, guys that can teach these young guys how to play. There's not enough experience right now in that meeting room. Anytime you have Greg Ward Jr. being your elder statesman, it's tough. Yeah. Well, now they signed, what's his name?
Zach Pascal.
Zach Pascal.
Yeah, Pascal.
I want somebody who's going to go out and make a difference. You know what I'm saying? A difference maker. I've played with difference makers. I had, when I was with the Steelers, I had a guy that can go out there and he will catch anything you throw at him, and Hines Ward. Even though he was slow as pond water, he would always find a way to get open. But then I had two dynamic guys, Randall L. and Cedric Wilson, who would just be running scot-free. And you talk about Big Ben, he wasn't Big Ben. He was just Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah. He could get the ball to him because he was more forgiving because those guys were wide open because they wanted to create separation.
Right.
They had somebody to teach him how to be that way. You know what I'm saying? They were taught by Hines Ward how to play the game. You don't have that here. Even with the Eagles, had Irvin Fryer who taught the younger receivers, Christy Jones, those guys, how to play, how to get open. It's an art form to doing that. People don't understand, you're not just out there running routes. There's little idiosyncrasies you have to do. When if you got a stack DB on you run them as fast as you can, and they call it stepping on their feet. You're step on your feet and wait till you move a move. Look them straight in his eyes, then you make a move. You know what I'm saying? Just little things like that. Or using your body to push off and come, those are all things you learn from being a pro. And they didn't have anybody to really teach them that. Now, it's kind of damning that your head coach is a receiver coach and didn't teach those receivers how really to play the game. That was probably our worst position on offense.
What's your sense of Nick Sirianni, Derek? And look, they were a playoff team. We talked about this with Brian Baldinger a little bit earlier, but we also know the schedule was weak. You look at the teams that they beat, some of the guys who were being rolled out at quarterback that they missed, and they played the second and third stringer.
Right.
To his credit, it started off really with 2-5, and they got smoked in Vegas, and they put it together after that. And he was a guy who was willing to make adjustments. But you get a sense of what he really is after 1 year yet?
No, but here's what I do like most about him. When you go back to last season, a lot of coaches come in, new coaches, they want to establish themselves. They have their system offensively, defensively, and they're going to ram it down a team's throat. And you're going to run that system. And if Nick Sirianni had stuck to his initial system, it would have been disastrous for the Eagles in 2021. But he adjusted on the fly. Whether it was him, whether it was somebody else talking to him, he finally gave in and realized this team is better suited and a better competitive team, offensively especially, if we run the football. And it started with that Detroit game, and it kept going. And we kept saying, okay, this can't be real. And it kept going. The running game is what got them to the playoffs. In a passing league, the running game is what got the Eagles to the playoffs in 2021. So kudos to Nick Sirianni for being man enough to realize, well, you know what? I don't think I have the personnel. And I'm not speaking for Nick Sirianni. This is my own observation. Yeah. Basically, I don't have the personnel that I want to run my type of offense. But the offense I do have right now, we can have some success if we continue to do this. And he stayed to that gun. Not many coaches, Barrett, you correct me if I'm wrong, not many coaches will flip the script in the middle of a season in terms of what they're doing.
Especially not a rookie head coach.
Not a rookie head coach. He wants to establish himself. This is his time to shine, his chance to show people that he is qualified to be a head coach in the National Football League. And lo and behold, Nick Sirianni was smart enough to flip the script and go in a little bit different direction, and it paid off for this team. Now, opponents are going to look at them in 2022 as a running team first. I think this year we found out exactly what kind of coach Nick Sirianni is, because I expect defenses to now bow up against his run, try to bow up against the run, and try to stop him. I think this is what we find out how good of a coach Nick Sirianni can be.
Absolutely. And I'm going to address the stream. Eddie, let me explain why you even Devontae Smith needs a veteran coach out there. The first couple of games, look at the San Fran game where the receiver, I forget the receiver's name. It was Jalen Reagor. Ran out of bounds, came in, was the first guy to catch the rock. That's a penalty. What happens later on?
Yeah.
Jalen does the same. I mean, not Jalen, but
Devontae
Smith does the same thing. A veteran wide receiver would have said, no, stop doing that. Guys pushing off when they're out there blocking or running routes. A veteran receiver would have stopped that. So they do need, including Devontae, need a veteran guy in there to teach them the little idiosyncrasies on how to be a NFL wide receiver, what you can get away with, what you can't get away with,
right?
What DB you can work this on and what DB you can't work it on. If you got a strong man-to-man corner like a Jalen Ramsey, you don't want to go out there and try to chicken fight with him, battle him. You want to run away from him, get away from him, use your body to get away to run routes. Those are all things that come with experience. That's why you need a veteran wide receiver in there to teach these young guys the experiences they have.
Yeah,
so,
Devontae's on record.
Need.
Yeah, hey Barrett, Devontae's on record saying that himself. We could use a vet in this quarterback room. Yeah, yeah, exactly right. You know, I get a sense it almost feels like maybe not quite to this degree, but the way Donovan didn't have much to work with early in his career.
No.
I mean, when it was the Thrash Pinkston days.
No.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if he had not even a level of a TO, but a very competent wide receiver that knew how to run routes, who knew how to get open? What if he had a pair of those guys? It wouldn't have just been one time being in the Super Bowl.
Right.
They would have had several opportunities because they were right on the edge of having an explosive offense. You know, did you guys know, and I just learned this from working with Big Seals, that the Eagles have never had a 100-catch receiver throughout the existence of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow.
Yeah, Taylor probably gets there if he doesn't get hurt, right?
Exactly. They have not had a 100-catch receiver. They had a 100-catch tight end in Zach Ertz. He had 116.
Yeah.
But never a 100 catch receiver. Can you imagine how dynamic that offense could have been a la 2004?
Right.
If they had some game breakers out there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Guys that could stretch the field. You can because at that time Westbrook was the ultimate weapon for him.
Yeah.
He catch out the backfield, ran screenplays for him, ran the rock for him. They really didn't have an explosive guy and wide receiver until T.O. came. And look at the difference that they had. So Andy Reid even looked at, all right, I got to get.
Yeah, he finally came on. He was stubborn about it for a long time.
Right.
He finally caved on that and realized he had to get a game breaker in her. And look, I think Devontae Smith is phenomenal, but you need a bigger guy to complement him on the other side.
No question about it.
And
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
No, I was just going to say, and look, I think we all realize, and they do too. They just won't say it. Rager ain't that guy.
No.
We've said it. I'll say it for him.
Yeah.
I think Quez Watkins has the capability of being a big play receiver, but I don't think he can be that consistent go-to receiver for this team. I think, when you need a much bigger body, you need a Calvin Ridley type body, a AJ Brown type body. You need one of those big type bodies.
Chains.
Yes, we've seen the bigger body receivers. Look at Mike Evans down in Tampa. We've seen big body receivers who are athletic with speed make a bad pass look like a spectacular throw because he made a spectacular acrobatic catch. And we're talking about, wow, that quarterback put the ball in a place only the receiver could get it. No, the receiver was that much bigger than the DB and went up and took it away. There's a big difference. If you had one of those types of receivers, even with a Jalen Hurts quarterback, I think it would have enhanced the overall product of this offense.
It makes it more forgiving,
Exactly.
And you know what? The frustrating thing is there's pieces in place. I mean, you have the stud offensive line. You have Goddard, who I think is a really good tight end. You have a running attack, and you have Devontae Smith. If you could just get that other piece. Now, ultimately, we don't know what Jalen Hurts' ceiling is. And it may just be, hey, he's a hardworking, nice guy who can get you to like Ryan Tannehill level or not. But at least give him the options, man.
I hope Jalen Hurts proves a lot of people wrong, but I just don't think Jalen Hurts is going to be that long-term solution for this team or any team. Yeah. And again, I'm just basing it off 1 year of a full season of watching Jalen Hurts play the game. I think he's a serviceable quarterback, but I don't know if he's going to be that next level type quarterback. Looking at his makeup, see, there's too many ifs involved for me with a Jalen Hurts. If he learns how to utilize the pocket better in terms of surveying all of his options. If he learns not to get too skittish and step up and run too soon. If he learns how to hit the open receiver more consistently. Saw way too many overthrows, wide throws, guys standing wide open in the flats. You know, if he learns how to read defenses better. You know, those are a lot of ifs. And those are ifs he can overcome. Will he overcome them? I don't know. Nobody knows. You know, he's out there working.
You know, yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes, he'll be able to overcome those things. He has no choice. He has no choice. Okay. And that's what I'm saying. He has no choice. If he wants to be a consistent NFL quarterback, he has to make those type of things happen. He has no choice but to make those things happen, or he will be labeled a backup. And I know what it is to be labeled a backup. You know what I'm saying? He has done this his entire career. People act like he hasn't been doing it. He is evolved as a quarterback, as an NFL, as a player, period, his entire career. He went from being just a running quarterback to going to Oklahoma and being a throwing quarterback, and then getting here, having to re-evolve himself again to just being a wildcat guy to now he's going to have to go out there and throw the ball. Teams, defensive coordinators get paid millions of dollars to stop Jalen Hurts. It's his turn now to go out and get the help that he needed. And I think he was out in California with the quarterback guru and change who he is, you know. So I'm hoping he does. I'm praying he does, because if he doesn't, he's going to set us back 3 years.
There are 32 legitimate starting quarterbacks in the National Football League, okay? And to me, Jalen Hurts is still in the prove it category.
Yes,
which is understandable, considering, as Jalen Hurts admitted, you know, every year he's played with different coordinators, different coaches. So his head's swimming in a lot of ways, learning new systems. You got all these different coaches teaching him new mechanics, how to read defenses differently. So now this is the second year of him being in Sirianni's system. So I don't want to see marginal improvement. Marginal improvement is not good enough for me when it comes to Jalen Hurts.
No.
I need significant improvement.
Yes.
But again, because of his size, because of his lack. Now, people keep talking about he can't throw the deep ball consistently. Well, you don't have to throw it a country mile to be an effective quarterback in the National Football League. Drew Brees wasn't a great deep thrower, but Drew Brees knew how to get the ball to his targets in the intermediate game. Drew Brees was one of the best that ever played the game in terms of putting the ball where it needed to be in the intermediate game. And he could set up a decent deep ball every now and then when he had to. You know, we still don't know what Jalen Hurts is. And I don't know if Nick Sirianni knows at this point what Jalen Hurts is.
All right. So, well, listen, we got a lot more to dive into tomorrow, the rest of the week. Just to remind everybody, Brandon Graham, Trent Cole, you want to be tuned in tomorrow. That's for sure. All right. So, boys, it was fun. Fun first day, huh?
Oh, crazy. Man, but you know what? I done pulled all my hair out, man. Y'all got me so frustrated, man.
Look, man, today was exactly what I expected to be. Three guys who've known each other for a long time, who have a lot of history together, who have organic chemistry together, and we just three guys love to have fun, ripping on each other and talking sports. I mean, you know how many people out there would cut off an arm to be able to have this platform, or any platform, to do what we do. Blessed. You know, to you know, just it is a blessing. That's the key word that I will use every time. It's a blessing. It's not luck. It was meant to be. It took some time. A lot of people don't know what it took for us to get here today. You know, a lot of hemming and hawing and haggling to get here and make sure it worked in a lot of ways. But you got three guys who know each other, who love to feed off each other, who just basically love to talk sports. And, you know, I sit here now, and I'll sit here a year from now saying the same thing. I'm blessed and fortunate not just to do it, but to do it with people I like doing it with.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. All right. So a lot of fun. Don't go anywhere, because we have the National Football Show with Dan Silio. Big Sills is going to kill it.
Coming up
3 to 6. So we're on 12 to 3 every single day. We appreciate everybody, all the comments. Again, smash that like button, but all the comments, everybody who participated in the show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for streaming. Thanks for listening. We truly appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow at 12 o'clock for D Gunn and Barrett Brooks. I am Rob Ellis. You've been watching Sports Take. Tell a friend.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, go to left, fake a mom. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.